I wish we had a ledge here where I could set this.
I know.
Because it doesn't work.
And then can I talk NBA?
You're listening to KAOR, Vermilion, South Dakota.
I didn't do any MLB because we're already short on time, and I figure
I
football, basketball.
I figured that we're talking about that as well.
But I figured it would.
There were a lot of big moves.
I know.
But that's really it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's not really anything to debate about that kind of stuff, you know? So I figured I'd just keep it, you know, NFL, NBA, and then college football, college basketball. Just keep football, basketball.
What are we talking about basketball though? No, not that. College basketball.
Holiday tournaments. There's holiday tournaments.
Oh, Big Ten makes a shit.
Yeah.
Did someone win that?
No, it was tied. 6-6.
They need 7 wins.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good.
I know.
Is there a game tonight?
No, it's over.
It's over. They need 7 to win the challenge.
I know, it ended up in the tie.
That's cool. So.
Yeah. Holy crap! I thought there was someone else in here. I was like, holy shit!
No, that's
Don't
me.
get that, please.
But anything that happened over holiday tournaments, Duke lost to Arizona.
Michigan State lost.
UNC beat Michigan State last night.
UNC always seems to beat them.
UNC pretty much the only time UNC wins is against ranked opponents this year.
And that they had beaten Louisville, who's the past.
They beat a 1, a 3, and a 5.
Yeah, well,
so
they beat. Well,
Michigan.
The thing is, like, they beat Louisville because they were the defending champions, and then they beat the #1 ranked team, which was Michigan State last night. So UNC is kind of the hot team right now.
But they lose to like Belmont.
They lose to like some Belmont.
I know.
Because we're so tough, we're gonna lose to Belmont. Yeah, that's how we roll.
I need to put this on Facebook.
Oh god. So we're going an hour and a half.
Around there. She says we'll go as long as we can.
Who's calling the games anyways?
Joe English. I think he's just doing it by himself.
Yeah.
And we think that Joey's running board, but we have no clue. It could be Jazz for all we know.
Is it men's or women's? I don't know. Is there anybody set up to call next Saturday?
I have no idea.
Next Saturday. Is that the men's?
Men's.
Yeah, I'll be play by play. What, take dinner maybe? You and Connor?
Maybe.
If you want to, we'll give you a shot.
We're like, better to fuck up than over finals week.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, the more experience you got, the better.
Yeah, I know. That would be my
And
first,
it also goes on your resume. It's like, people have always told me, put stuff on your resume that may not even be for it.
Well,
yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. They say
it's not especially pertinent.
It's not for his degree, but people say put everything that you've done on your resume.
My resume is like 4 years out.
But I'm just saying.
No.
See, even if it doesn't.
I want to call games. I want to help out. It'll be my first game being called though.
That's fine.
I've actually never been to a KAOR basketball game.
I've
never been.
They have game notes.
No, I know. Well, I mean, I do research.
Oh yeah. It's really easy.
I do a couple hours of research.
The game notes are pretty much your research. That's really what it is.
I can also look up like stats stuff. I like obscure stats.
I want like a table.
Like obscure stats. Like a table in here.
Yeah, do we have a table?
Oh, we don't have much room.
No,
Are you talking like a table
right
like
here.
right there?
Like
there.
to put this.
Well, that would be in the way. I think right here would be better, but
okay. I'm gonna see if I can find something.
Like a mini like folding
This
table.
is KAOR.
You can buy one for like
I can probably
$15 or something. Buy a little folding table.
Can I use this chair?
Yeah, I've done that before.
Did you guys hear about Nelson Mandela?
Yes. He died today.
I thought, okay, here's the thing. Here's how awful, like, Twitter has gotten. At first, I thought it was a hoax.
That's what I thought, too.
Like, legit. I was like, okay.
The last time that happened, it was.
Yeah, it's like, I get these 9-to-5 ranks like that, but at the same time, like, most of the time it's a hoax. And then, like, everybody was commenting on it. So I was like, okay.
Okay, I'm putting this down.
Here, I could use that one, you could use this. I like it both.
You have to be in camera, though. You have to be in
So,
camera.
switch this one back there.
Yeah. Oh, this could be the table.
Raise a little bit so you're in camera.
Careful.
Okay, hold on. Roll for me to raise it. It's real.
No, just you hold that one. I'll move over here, take your spot.
Oh, no, that's not
What you meant?
No.
Oh, you want this one.
Gotcha. No, I was fine, dude.
No, put that one here. You take this one, because then I'm going to use that for my computer.
He wants to sit on the short one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to have you use that one
He
for
wants to sit on the short
computer.
one. You get the two gray ones, and he's going to sit on the short one.
So this one would be the
Oh
one
my God,
that
That you
Struggle
sit
bus.
in, yeah.
This one you want to
Struggle
sit here.
fucking
Okay,
bus.
that's fine.
Jesus Christ.
Dude, we're
It
trying
seemed
to
really
do something.
simple.
I'm sorry, I meant to be retarded.
Why are you struggle busing? Why am I
I'm retarded. I already told you.
Why are you distracted? You know, I have a feeling you got me sick, so I might put it so. That's all I'm gonna
I haven't even, like, I saw you.
Yep, I'm in the.
Yeah, you
I'm in the frame.
We sat together like for like a half hour.
Hey, Josh. Guess who I'm talking to again? Huh? Yep.
Nice. Let's go.
Well, we might be something.
Alright.
We might be getting somewhere.
Alright. That's guy stuff.
Yeah, so.
Awesome.
Hey, you don't want to know.
Yeah,
It involves sex.
that's fine.
That's
I'm
fine.
so squeamish about sex. Whatever. Because I'm the
It's
girl.
kind of sad when I start to remember what is sex. What is that stuff?
I love it. Yes, I love it so much. Sweet.
Your table. It does really suck sitting there and having beer. Like during like last night. I'm like, ah shit, I'm just gonna sit down.
Well, actually, I was very proud of you guys for like coming in last minute and actually doing
That was
that.
fun.
I'm glad you guys.
It's cold outside.
I'm so glad you guys made it.
Yeah. Pretty much Mondays, like this semester, Mondays are super open.
Alright, so we're opening with Thanksgiving week. Oh, what happened Thanksgiving weekend?
That was a long time
It
ago.
was a long time
Oh
ago.
man.
I guess I'm looking it up then.
Is that seriously only like a week ago?
Week 12.
It was pretty much a week ago.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Even ESPN has Nelson Mandela
Yeah.
as their freaking thing.
Yeah. On Twitter. Yeah.
Oh, he brokered the 2010 World Cup. That's why. Because he's involved with sports.
He's huge.
Charles Woodson came out and said, "Shut Rogers down."
Yep.
And now it's time for
Because it's like he's not on any better team, so he doesn't really have room to talk.
What's the Raiders' record again? 4-8. Or one game worse than the Packers. 1.5 games worse than the Packers. They almost beat the Cowboys.
I can do that.
Is this like that sick?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been this way for the past
Sick
few
delirium
hours.
already.
And welcome here to Make Your Point. Yes, this is Victoria Harmony. Yes, I do sound like a dead frog, but we are going to go on with the show anyways. I'm here on Make Your Point. With me is Josh Earl and Nathan Poole, as always.
What a great way to enter the show.
You know, I have to put
Great
in my
way.
humor sometimes.
Oh yeah, that actually gives me a good laugh.
And I'm glad my sarcasm does something for life.
Start off with a dead frog reference.
You know,
We can
dead
only go up
frogs.
from here. We can only
Exactly. And you know what goes up from dead frogs is Thanksgiving. So before we start, since we have to be all nice, how were your guys' Thanksgivings? I'll give you like a minute.
I've probably heard like 15 better segues on Distorted Wave than that.
You haven't heard me when I'm on drugs. So,
Yeah,
well,
she is on
not
drugs,
on
by the
radio.
No.
Anyways.
Legal
Thanksgiving.
drugs. Legal drugs.
Thanksgiving, let's go. We got like a minute.
Thanksgiving.
We have to do
I'm
things.
trying to remember which games exactly. Oh, there's
No,
the
I'm
games.
talking about your
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
My
To
Thanksgiving.
be polite.
It was alright. Honestly, I mean, it was kind of okay. Thanksgiving as a whole is weird in my family.
Alright, Nate.
I had a lot of good food, and I didn't go Black Friday shopping.
Awesome. So we're going to
I
go
did.
talking
I did.
about
That's a
football
lot
on
of
Thanksgiving. Did either of you guys watch football on Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Because
A little
I
bit.
Sadly.
sure did.
Sadly.
So let's talk about those games.
Green Bay is nothing without Aaron Rodgers, as it saw the defense can't tackle, and when that happens, they get run over. And then the Dallas game, which Dallas actually almost lost, believe it or not. If you watched that earlier in the game, Oakland, I think, went into halftime 21-7.
Mm-hmm.
And then Baltimore and Pittsburgh turned out to be a great rivalry game, and really, we're talking about it on it today. So
we'll talk more about Baltimore and Pittsburgh later.
But yeah, I sat down and watched a good majority of all three of those games. So
well, since you picked 3, Josh, do you have 3 you want to pick?
Well, you said just Thanksgiving, so.
Well, I guess.
Pick 3.
I was thinking that week.
3
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I just noticed a fun fact. Matt Flynn's QBR for that game on Thanksgiving was 2.1.
Yeah.
That's astoundingly bad.
Because he never had time to throw it.
We got sacked 7 times.
Yeah,
He
and
got
when he
sacked
does,
almost as many completions as he had.
and when he did throw it, it's not like it was caught.
Yeah.
For any of you that don't pay attention, that game did end in a tie. Nobody even won.
No. Packers and
No?
Lions? No, that was the Packers and Vikings. They tied
yeah,
the
I was
week
thinking-
previous.
I was
Packers and Lions, the
thinking-
Packers got blown out 40-10.
I was thinking Nate was talking, so it must be Packers.
I was talking Packers,
Packers got blown out by
but
the
that was
Lions.
against Detroit on Thanksgiving.
The Ravens and Steelers game lived up to its billing, but the Ravens still pulled it out somehow, apparently. And the Steelers are coming back. I just didn't really watch a whole lot of football. Because now I was watching the Packers-Lions game. I was watching the
Okay.
I was watching the Packers-Lions game, and then, like, we were watching it, and then my mom started complaining about it because she didn't want to watch football. And I'm like, it's Thanksgiving, you gotta watch football. She's like, no, I don't want to watch this, so we didn't. Yeah.
The only true game that I watched was entirety was the Packers game.
Yeah.
The Oakland game I watched for maybe the first 3 quarters, and then I kind of did my own thing. And then Baltimore and Pittsburgh I didn't watch until the 4th.
You know, the general way I figure, if I have to suffer through episode upon episode of House Hunters International, House Hunters, you can suffer through a couple football games, but whatever.
It was interesting.
That was my Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Happy late Thanksgiving.
Black Friday shopping is fun though. Black Friday shopping on
We're not
Thanksgiving.
going on Black Friday
That's
shopping. We're
hilarious.
Where
talking
did you go?
football.
Well,
Sioux Falls?
We're talking
I'm from Sioux
football.
Falls.
Okay.
Wash your face.
Brent, just continue the conversation.
All right.
So Josh,
Lead
what
us.
games did you want to bring up since Nate brought it up?
From like the whole week as a whole?
Mhm.
Or I thought we were just referring to Thanksgiving.
Well, since Thanksgiving week because it's a whole
Yeah,
week of football.
true.
So. Whole
It's
weekend.
confusing.
It's a Thursday and a Sunday and a Monday. It's not really.
I'm trying to remember, didn't Forte get hurt in the Bears game?
No clue.
I think he did.
He probably did, but
Because that would partially explain how the Vikings managed to beat them in overtime.
How about the Dolphins beating the Jets by 20?
that doesn't surprise
That
me.
doesn't surprise me so much. The Cardinals and Eagles game, oh man, I was so happy. Here's the thing.
That surprised me because Eagles were up 24-7 and almost lost it.
Yeah, I didn't really, I wasn't able to watch it because I wasn't on TV. And we were actually out and about that day, getting ready to get me back to school. And I remember being in the car and listening to the last minute and a half of the game with my mom on the radio.
Yeah.
And it was great because she didn't really know what was going on, but I was screaming. I was screaming at it because we forced the turnover and everything. And she just had no idea why.
I actually went up to Kansas City to see the Denver-Kansas City game with a couple of my friends, and that was a great atmosphere. The team that I wanted to win did win. That was a good game, and then also another game I'll point out here was New England and Houston, where New England, it was just back and forth game.
New England was actually, they were kind of dominating early on.
Yeah.
And then the Patriots came back. It's kind of crazy.
New England was dominating early on, and the Patriots came back.
Yeah, that's what I
My
thought you
bad.
said.
The Texans were
I was
That's what I
like,
thought
wait,
you
what?
said.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you said.
Houston was dominating early on, and the Patriots came back, and it's sad. I feel for the Texans. I do, especially for Case Keenum.
And believe it or not, Case Keenum still does not have a win.
Nope.
Under his belt.
He's
the team
only
as a
lost
whole
by
barely
like
has
3
any
every
wins.
time.
But the team is always losing because of the defense.
And
Sorry to say.
The team is just bad right now.
Yeah.
It's just all bad.
Well, they're running for the first pick.
So on that Broncos Chiefs
because the
game,
Jaguars.
were you surprised that the Broncos won?
I was not, but I was like, in this game, I really wasn't surprised overall, but I was very glad to see it a close game as it was kind of in the first meeting. And Kansas City, for those people who didn't watch this game, Kansas City actually had a shot late in the game to tie this up. And it was a 4th and 4 play, and all they needed was a first down. They were like on the 11-yard line. Needed to get to the 7, and they went to the end zone. It's like, get the first down, because at this moment they had about a 1 minute 30 remaining. They could have gotten the first down and then figured something out, but it was actually quite a great game. So,
I I expected the Broncos to win this game, but I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if somebody got the memo at some point to cover Eric Decker. Just curious. 4 touchdowns.
Went crazy.
4. That just doesn't happen to anybody not nicknamed Megatron. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just not supposed to happen.
All right, and then the Monday night game with the Seahawks and the Saints. Let's talk about that.
Well,
Were you surprised by the outcome?
Kinda, yeah.
34-7.
I expected the Seahawks to win relatively handily, but handily in this case would be like 10 points.
Yeah, right.
But instead we get a 27-point throttling, effectively. The Saints had no running game and apparently no passing game either. Just
Breeze probably had one of his worst nights of his career.
see, his completion percentage was okay. It's just the yardage. Just getting nothing out of there.
It's even more ridiculous too, though, because looking at the halftime score, it was 27-7.
Mm-hmm.
So there was really only one more touchdown in this game
After
after
the
the first half. So it was just a complete throttling by Seattle. I was thinking New Orleans would score at least 20, not 7. I was surprised when I saw that score.
And Seattle, they did a pretty good job. He did a good job of spreading the ball around too.
Yeah,
So
Wilson.
you had 3 guys get over 30 yards rushing, just kind of moving the ball a pretty good amount. You had 86-yard receiving, 77, 45. I mean, it's not like any guys that are gonna pop off the stat sheet or anything like that, but it all just comes together.
And I know a lot of people are criticizing Wilson for his size, but Wilson is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in this league. He has really shown in just his second year of starting how much he's improved. And I think it all comes down with a good coach and Pete Carroll, and also with the system and the players he has around him. He just has guys that he can be confident in.
Yeah, with offense and defense, it just kind of feels like a perfect storm right now for the Seahawks.
All right, so I know a lot of people are calling that Seattle is the best team in the NFL right now. Would you agree or disagree?
I'm still a believer in Denver for some reason. I still think Denver could beat the Seahawks, but the case is definitely there to make, especially if it's at home.
Home. I think looking at this though, that would be the only other team I'd put in this category was Denver.
Yeah.
But looking at how Seattle is playing, they have a better defense. You know, they have just about as good an offense as Denver does. Denver's weakness is their defense.
Yeah,
and I think Russell
especially
Wilson,
their passing defense.
Yeah, I think with how their secondary plays, I really do think that Seattle could beat them either way, either at home or at Denver.
I think if it's at home, handily, Seahawks would win. Mm-hmm. On the road, it'll be closer. I mean, I could see
on the road.
The Broncos.
It seems like on the road they just play different.
Honestly, I think maybe
it's always tough to play in Denver too because of the higher elevation.
Yeah, 3 out of 5 games I would give to the Seahawks on the road in Denver. So I mean, I could probably put them at the top right now. It's just a little hard to get off the Broncos right
now. Yeah, as of right now, I do say Seattle is the best team, but we'll see come later in the season.
Yeah, that being said, I don't really see any other teams up in that echelon with those two. Mm-hmm. Even the Chiefs, I still put them like a step below.
Yeah. But it will be interesting if those two teams actually meet again in the playoffs.
The Broncos
Chiefs.
and Chiefs.
Broncos.
I could
and
definitely
you
see
could
them in the
definitely see
championship
it.
game.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
A lot of people are calling for Wilson to win the MVP this year.
He's getting a lot more buzz now. His stats are very, very good. Not quite like Peyton Manning's level.
You look at it, they're kind of the same as where he was at last year. Mm-hmm. Maybe just a little bit
better.
better.
They're better here.
So
he's got the kind of stats through, how many games is this now? 12? Yeah, 12 games that he basically kind of had over like the full season last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's talk about Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
All right.
Because the final score of that game, if somebody can remind me,
22-20 Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens did win. I remember this. Mike Tomlin, however, causing a bit of a stir.
Oh, yeah.
He was fined $100,000 for his actions on the field during this game. Anybody refresh my memory as to why?
Effectively, he was standing. He was probably about 3 or 4 yards onto the field.
Mm-hmm.
This was a little bit around midfield-ish. Supposedly, he was watching the jumbotron, and he was actually in that position like at the beginning of the play, which is hilarious itself. I think he wandered a little bit further out. But Jacoby Jones was returning the kickoff for the Ravens, and he was coming down the left sideline. He had gotten through a bunch of guys.
And he actually had a shot to take it all the way.
He had a shot to take it all the way. He was kind of losing stride, so it was a little iffy.
But he did say that Tomlin was in his way, which didn't.
Basically, in order to swerve to avoid Tomlin, he ended up getting caught up to from behind.
Yep.
And Tomlin was laughing about it afterwards. And Jones, for his credit, he hasn't come out and blamed it on him, but he's like,
Right.
I kind of swerved and he kind of swerved, and
Right.
so I mean, whether it was intentional or not, there's a little iffiness to it. Bill Belichick came out and said that it happens,
Mm-hmm.
like that kind of stuff happens to pretty much. It can happen to any coach where you're watching the jumbotron, and Tomlin came out and said that basically he watches the jumbotron on kick returns to get a better perspective of it. So, I mean, I kind of get that. We don't really know if it was intentional or unintentional.
Well, how do you feel about it?
I at first I thought it was completely intentional, and the more I hear about it, the more I'm like, I can understand how you can kind of lose track of where you are, because the sideline, it's not like you're looking at your feet the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're playing basketball, I lose track where I am on the court. I mean, it happens. I don't have so much problem. It's a little weird that he was 4 yards onto the field. Then that's a little iffy. But I think maybe because how stupid do you have to be intentional? How profoundly stupid?
You could be
Or
like
how
Jason. You could be
extremely
like Jason
smart.
Kidd.
Or how extremely smart? No.
You could be like Jason Kidd.
Man.
That's stupid.
We'll talk about Jason.
That was.
But anyway, my opinion on this, I don't think it was intentional. From what I saw, Tomlin was looking at the jumbotron, and that's what I saw. And I don't think he ever turned around.
He turned around
until
when Jacoby Jones was right there.
was swerving, yeah. So I don't think it was intentional. I really do think that he was trying just to get a better perspective and maybe just a better viewing area of the drop.
And technically, how could it have been intentional from the beginning? Because there's no way to know he's going to come up the left sideline.
But I do agree with what people said afterwards, is that he should have been penalized on that.
Oh
play.
yeah, I believe
There was no flag thrown on this play.
I agree. There should have been. I believe a 15-yard.
Yeah,
I figured that would have been unsportsmanlike.
I think so.
Not necessarily. It's just the way it is. I believe it should have been flagged, and I actually agree with the $100,000 fine. It ranks up there with a lot of other fines that coaches get. It's 1/5 of what Bill Belichick got for the Bountygate stuff. So I don't have much problem with it.
Not Bountygate.
Spygate.
Yeah.
My bad.
I was like, what?
My bad. That being said, there was talk about the Steelers possibly losing draft picks, and now
Yeah, I was gonna bring
there's
that
been
up.
another report coming out that said it's extremely unlikely. I am strongly against taking away draft picks because a stupid mistake basically costing you a future player
That's just
to restock.
wrong. That's
That's just
unfair.
wrong. And effectively, at that point, you would start to look at it and go, maybe is the NFL okay? This just adds to evidence. Is the NFL kind of targeting the Steelers sometimes for penalties, effectively, because they do on some of their players. So
Looking back in the past, James Harrison
James
was
Harrison
always flagged for any hit to the helmet.
So it's just wrong to penalize a team for the actions of a coach, correct?
In this case,
like when the New Orleans Saints coach came out and spoke about the bounty scandal, and that was mainly on the coach and the administration. The entire team was
in this
penalized.
case, this was what I feel mostly unintentional accident during a game.
I know, but I'm likening it to
difference.
something else.
You're broadening it. You're broadening it massively.
But you're saying the team
I'm saying in
shouldn't
this
be penalized
case-
for this coach.
in this case.
Just one case.
Well, these are special case by case basis things.
I really didn't like Greg Williams' whole thing either. I think he should be suspended indefinitely because he was, and then he was
I
reinstated.
thought I should be blacklisted or whatever.
He was back. He's
But
back.
I'm just saying that was the action of a coach as well.
Yeah, I know.
Not the entire team, but the entire team lost how many draft picks as well.
Because of all the stuff that resulted from it.
Exactly, but it was the action of a coach.
The result of this was, oh no, a guy didn't get. I don't think he was scoring a touchdown.
It could have made or broke a playoff berth. Is what that game could have done.
Maybe. At this point, I would have made it broke a game as opposed to making or breaking many guys' careers.
I was just saying, the actions of a coach shouldn't penalize the team. And you're saying that it should. But we're going to move on. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with some Richie Incognito.
I love having words put in my mouth.
Because I totally promised you guys that I need to sign the PSA.
I don't remember you telling us about the middle.
I promised it last week. So
2
stay
weeks
tuned.
ago.
I don't remember.
Oh, I wasn't on here 2 weeks
You
ago.
weren't here.
No, I love having words put in my
Frickin'
mouth. That's
in-
awesome.
Freaking incognito.
That's so much fun.
Sure.
Wait, why are we still... Oh, fuck. Because they're meeting again. Son of a bitch.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because
Supposedly,
we've
it
heard
was
that.
supposed to be done.
Well,
It was
because no,
supposed to be
because
done.
I didn't put any of the new stuff on
Martin's-
here yet.
Martin's
He's
not
meeting
playing
with Martin
again.
next week.
Martin's not playing.
Yeah, Martin's
Not-
done.
not this
He's
season.
on like
Yeah.
the DL or whatever.
He's on the non-injury,
Non-playing list. Yeah, the
non-illness
non-injured
football
but
list,
the ineligible
Yeah, I'm
play list.
aware
non-football
of that.
illnesses.
No, I know.
It's
Yeah.
stupid.
So,
And right now,
I just have my
Incognito
notes
is
from last
suspended.
week. I didn't
Incognito
look up any
suspended
of
for the
new
rest of the year with pay.
Yeah.
With pay.
I didn't look up any of the new crap, but I know kind of what's been going
So
on.
he's getting paid during all this.
Well, you know, I've had a life. It's fine.
Okay. It was a good Sunday night game.
And we're back here on Make Your Points. I'm Victoria Harmony. With me, Josh Earl and Nathan Poole. We are here to discuss Miami Dolphins, Richie Incognito, and Jonathan Martin because everybody loves this topic.
Not everybody.
So, these are my notes from a couple weeks back because this is kind of when the whole thing happened, but it's all kind of come to a head this week, so we're going to discuss it again. Richie Incognito had filed a grievance with the Dolphins for a non-football injury grievance against the club, challenging his status as indefinitely suspended for conduct detrimental to the team, according to sources on ESPN. Under Article 42 of the Collective Bargaining Agreement, the maximum a player can be suspended by a team for detrimental conduct is 4 weeks, plus an additional game check. In this case, that would amount to just over $1.2 million. So, does Incognito have a case in this sense?
In what sense exactly?
Would he have a case against the Dolphins? Obviously, he did file the grievance, and he won the grievance, but do you agree with him winning the grievance?
It's weird to me that a player can do like horrible things like that stuff. With the CBA, this was one of those things that a player can do like this really stupid stuff, but then the team can only punish him for 4 weeks. That just seems a little odd to me. So honestly, I don't really. I get.
Well, it's
I
not.
get that he wants to protect his money and everything like that.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, it's not the punishment for what he's done. It's the fact that they suspended him indefinitely. But if it's an indefinite suspension, they don't have to pay him. So he's basically, an unpaid employee, and he can't get money from anywhere else. So I mean, it's not like it's the punishment so much as the fact that he wants to know when he's going to get paid, if he's going to get paid, kind of.
Yeah.
Is how I read into it.
I can understand in the case of an indefinite if they had said like you're suspended for the season or something.
But they
like that.
didn't. They said.
But
it was
they did.
indefinite.
With indefinite, I get that. I mean, I can deal with that.
And it also says his suspension has been extended to 6 weeks now until December 16th.
Mm-hmm.
But
So 2 weeks down the road.
probably,
Well,
he's
they're
probably
basically
suspended for the year.
just suspending him until the end of the season.
Yeah.
They're just it's like extending.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can't just outright say, "Well, you're suspended for the season." I guess I don't know.
Well, they can. It's just it would be a PR annoyance.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So on the other side of this, I had some notes from Jonathan Martin as well. The attorney for Jonathan Martin claimed, as I said, he's from a few weeks ago, that there was no conflict of interest. But I found the attorney David Cornwell, who is representing Jonathan Martin in this bullying case, denied there's a conflict of interest in him having the Dolphins' offensive lineman as a client, even though he is also the executive director of the NFL Coaches Administration. Or association, excuse me, not administration.
Because in the NFL situations, there's no conflict of interest ever.
Do you think there's a conflict? Just out of curiosity.
Probably.
Well, because in this article I'm reading from ESPN, it says that Wells also plans on having Incognito in one of these interviews too, kind of getting his side of things with Jonathan Martin there, I believe, too. And it says, actually, the purpose of the second round of interviews is that Wells can clarify things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So supposedly Incognito and Martin were going to meet, and then he got asked not to.
Yeah, because they were still investigating. They wanted to talk to him first.
It feels like they're just going to hang over for the rest of the season.
And really, I haven't really
Only 3
heard.
more weeks.
I haven't heard a lot about this story ever since they kind of suspended Incognito and Martin was on.
Well,
the
aren't you lucky
non-football.
you have
I just keep getting little updates saying, hey, they're going to talk again. Honestly, the story as a whole is huge, and the whole thing about bullying is huge. But as far as like them having these little talks, I don't care. I really don't.
It's a big step into progress or whatever. So.
Kinda.
You could possibly say that.
So do you think Miami's handling the situation correctly?
Well, Miami's kind of toast in the situation, especially from a PR standpoint. Joe Philbin is toast. Toasty toast.
Like, he's not going to get fired from this. I don't think so.
Yeah, he will.
Why? You already know
Because
he's
he
going to?
allowed this stuff to happen.
Well, he probably didn't even know it was. It was most of the stuff happened through text and team meals.
No, there had to be some way he knew. Kind of like in the whole bounty thing. There had to be some way they knew.
But kind of just looking at what we've seen so far, I think they've handled it badly.
As far as PR goes, they've handled it about as well as they can, which there's not a whole lot they can really do about it with the NFL bringing in an outside investigator to do all this stuff. That being said, it still reflects badly on Joe Philbin because he's supposed to have control over that locker room. Jeff Ireland, their GM, fans have hated him for years anyways, so he's probably going to be toast from this. This is probably going to be like the straw that broke the camel's back in his case. But from the team, there's not a whole lot they can really do to positively help at this point, aside from put out a bunch of PSAs of anti-bullying and try to play a PR game. That's about it.
Huh?
I know it sounds callous, but that's pretty much how PR works now.
This is just dragging on, though. It's like, really, it shouldn't be a huge story that they're having these small talks. The story should be what happens afterwards, which we already know that Incognito has been suspended. And we already know that Martin's not playing the rest of the season. Well, what's going to happen afterwards?
The funny thing about this, though, is regardless of what happens here, we kind of know what's going to happen in the end. Martin will hopefully be able to go on and have a career.
And
I
Incognito
mean,
will
he'll
be
still
cut.
have stigma following him from this, and there will be stigma against him as whether correct or incorrect as a crybaby. It'll mostly be incorrect, but it's just going to happen. It's just how the NFL works. Incognito is going to continue his career because the NFL and teams have shown if you have talent and that kind of stuff, we'll forgive you for whatever you do, including Greg Williams. And that's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Basically, short of killing someone, you can effectively continue to go on in the NFL.
And really,
Even then, it's kind of iffy.
Even, yeah. Manslaughter. Hey, Dante Star Wars.
This
To be
was
fair, that wasn't his fault. Well, I mean,
To
it
be
was his fault, but
fair,
it wasn't
I
on
think
purpose.
this topic is dragged on enough. So let's
Yeah.
talk about next week.
You brought it up.
I know,
You
but I
make
didn't
the
think it would
script.
go that long, so I'm sorry. We don't have much time because there's a basketball game tonight, and you guys, all you
Yeah.
listeners, should go and watch the USD women's basketball team as we discuss NFL. So next week, or this weekend, Ryan,
Pick a game.
what game are you looking forward to? You can pick
to
one,
look
and then
up
we're gonna
the
switch topics.
games.
okay. Oh, boy.
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe.
Okay, I'm going to pick one. One that I think has implications in two divisions with the NFC East and the NFC North is Detroit at Philly. Being a diehard Packers fan, in this game I need Detroit to lose. We need Detroit to lose, and Philly actually needs to get some more wins under their belt to face off against Dallas, who's making it creep up as well. So that's going to be an important game for both of those teams.
I'm going to bring up a game to point out just how bad it is.
Okay.
Thursday night game, Houston and Jacksonville. Another example of just how crappy the Thursday night games have been this year. Seriously.
It might be a good
And the
game.
commissioner...
Just think of it, they're so bad. Together, it might make goodness.
It's two bad teams.
No. The
Is it
commissioner...
a bad thing and a bad thing together?
The commissioner,
It's much worse.
and he's saying he wants more Thursday night games. It's a horrible idea. I've been against these Thursday night games all season, and it's only aided by the fact that all these games they keep playing are terrible matchups. Horrible.
You know what you should have saved that for?
The final how.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm doing it now.
You know what? I'm gonna pick Giants and Chargers because That's
No,
what they
we
did.
Just 'cause,
we
yeah.
probably won't have a final how, or I won't win because that's just
Well,
how I roll.
I was
You
actually leaning towards you, so
You
it's
could-
kinda
meh.
good.
You could pick the Monday night game.
I'm gonna
Monday
give
night
Nancy
game?
Chargers.
The Monday night game is interesting. Dallas.
It doesn't
Well,
interest
it's
you very
interesting if you're looking at the NFC East and NFC North too. Really,
this
two.
has huge implications, basically, because if the Eagles beat the Lions, the Cowboys have to beat Chicago,
To stay with them.
and that, relatively speaking, kind of clinches the NFC North
Mhm.
for the Lions. Oh no, because they would both
No,
be
they
back.
would be both
They would
lose.
stay even. If the Eagles win, though, Dallas has to win,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
All right, that is the end of NFL. Good job.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We did it in a half
That was like the
hour.
fastest we've ever done the
I
NFL.
know, right? Boom, and we did 3 weeks of football. Look at that.
Yeah.
So, the NBA. Derrick Rose. God spoke unto Derrick Rose and said Derrick Rose could play, and then he took away his ACL again. So, was it his
Achilles.
Achilles? I don't remember what it was. I just
It tore
remember
an
seeing it.
Achilles.
But it's on the opposite leg, right?
Yes.
The leg
Yes.
that was hurt is
Yeah,
the other
see,
leg now.
yeah.
So now he's gimping 2 legs.
Oh.
How do you guys feel about the Bulls' chances now?
Well,
I did see an article
I'm-
today that said Derrick Rose says a playoff return would not be out of the question.
Yeah.
It is out of the question.
Do you think he'll be back for the playoffs?
No.
A guy
No.
in my,
You?
I don't think he will.
Okay.
No.
But I want to say though, a guy in my class brought this up for like a news story, like a news item, and he said that when Rose got injured last year, it was pretty much the same PR move they did. Oh, he'll be back in the playoffs, and he was medically cleared, but he never played in the playoffs.
Hashtag
He
the
says
return.
he says now,
No
oh, I
hashtags
don't
on my
count
phone.
off a
We're on
playoff,
Hashtag real talk.
and he also says here, don't count off a playoff run if I'm back and healed. It's the same exact story. It's probably going to happen all over again. That if he is physically healthy, they're not going to put him in again. It's just
Okay, first of all, the Bulls will probably make the playoffs because the East is so god awful.
bad.
Second
It's
of all,
terrible.
I figure it's gonna be like last year again. It'll be like, yeah, I'm healthy, but both legs. I can't jump. I can't run. I can't play. I can't do it. No, okay, I don't want to. Here's the thing. Like, I don't want to make light of an injury, but at the same time, I gotta wash my hands at some point because I'm getting annoyed with it. I really am. No, it might have been knee actually, because I'm thinking back. So it might have been knee. It wasn't an ACL tear, was it?
It was some
Oh,
tear.
Was it a different tear than the
I
other
think it was
knee?
in the knee.
Might have been
It was-
MCL.
It was the
Might have
other
been
knee.
MCL.
I know
It
that.
might have
Or
been.
UCL or something like that.
But
But I remember writing a Twitter status after this, and Rose is down for the year, saying he might be back for the playoffs.
It's
Hashtag
his
shopping.
meniscus, so yeah,
Hashtag shocking. Hashtag Brandon
no
Roy syndrome.
hashtagging on Make Your Point.
Oh, Brandon Roy syndrome. Man, strikes again. It's great. Do you get the reference?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Degenerative
Ye,
knees.
ye of glass knees.
Degenerative knees.
I know. It's just
He tore his meniscus in his right knee.
there we go.
But
And
anyway,
that's a lot less severe than an ACL tear. But at the same time, I'm just getting annoyed with it, man.
if you
And basically, I feel sorry for the Bulls because they're stuck in the same position they were last year, where they're just kind of waiting and hoping, and you can't like do all this to progress as a playoff team because you don't know if he's going to be back and if he's going to be as great as he was, and so much money is committed to him, and there's all this speculation about trading Luol Deng, who's an all-star and everything like that. And they don't know whether to trade him because they probably wouldn't be a championship contender without him.
really.
And with him, they don't know if they can contend without Derrick Rose, and they don't know. And he's just messed up everything in their plans the last 2 seasons.
But looking at Derrick Rose, look at his playing style. He's so aggressive, and he pounds the ball inside.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're going to get most of the contact, and you're going to be flying in the air with these 200-pound bodies slamming up against your body, and you're going to be falling over. Your legs are going to get caught onto something, and it's just going to be all HELL is going to break loose with Derrick Rose because he's
You
never.
realize we can say that word.
Yeah, I know. I'm censoring
fine.
myself. We're going to see Derrick Rose not be the player that everybody knows him to be.
Well, he wasn't at the beginning of this year.
Well, I'm saying look back at 5 years ago.
No.
He-
not that far.
Well,
3.
when he
We'll
was
go back
first
3.
when he was first in the league, MVP season in 2010, 11 maybe.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
That season he was phenomenal. Everybody loved watching him play. After the injury, people are like, he's never going to be the same, and really, he's not.
He has some interesting quotes in this article.
I'm sure he does.
If
I'm sure they're
healthy-
filled with hope.
If I'm healthy and the situation is right, I'm going to be back playing, which I find interesting because that's
If the situation is right, because
If
the
the
playoff series against the
situation is
Heat
right.
to
is it right.
yeah.
By going on Nate's, somebody asked if he would change his playing style. He So that's the way that I play. I play a unique way of playing basketball, and I can't change that, he said.
Actually, he plays about the same way as Parker.
There
He
was
just doesn't get
also
hurt.
one, because people will be, the reporters, because this is a press conference, right? So people are asking if he would still be a franchise cornerstone. And he paused for 10 seconds before replying. You can be a fool if you want to. Dead serious. I know I'm going to be alright. I believe that I'm a special player.
A special player that may really not have anything left.
I feel that was very professional.
It's
PR.
PR. He's great
It's
at PR.
I didn't think that last
you know,
one was very PR. You could be a fool if you want to. Dead serious. Like I feel that.
As a typical fan, you love it because it's basically turning it back on the media. At the same time, though, he's great at PR, but that kind of happens when you have a year of practice.
He's played in 50 games.
Seriously?
Out of these last 2 years.
Former MVP doesn't believe he'll have to change his style of play, even though he has played in only 50 games over the past 3 seasons because of various
50?
injuries. According
Oh yeah,
to
because he had nagging
ESPN.
injuries that one year, and then they got to the playoffs, and that's when he got hurt.
Yep.
Sad Panda. Or
Do you
sad.
think he's still going to be an elite
Sad.
player? Yes or no?
Is what?
Is he still an elite player?
No.
I don't think he will be with these 2 injuries to his knees. He's going to be really, I hate to make the reference, another Brandon Roy. But one
But not
that,
quite to that extent.
Yeah, but not quite one that takes jumpers all the time. I mean, one going into.
So at least Brandon Roy, he came back and tried to keep playing even through all that pain and everything like that. You know, I get that you need to be completely mentally ready before you play, but don't sit there and have the return and all this stuff and play with your fans. Like I can get behind you, like waiting and everything like that, but messing with the fans and crushing their hopes in the season. I can't get behind. That's when you lose my support.
They pointed that out in an ESPN game where the Bulls were playing the Heat, and they said that there was a 8-year-old girl that actually wrote a letter to him and said, check a checklist of how healthy you are. Can you shoot the ball? Can you check that off? And he's like, can you run? Can you check that off? And he actually checked off everything, saying that he was totally 100% healthy when he really wasn't. He wasn't playing
physically.
like it.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing like it.
Yeah.
And it really showed, like, 2 weeks after he got that letter, he went down with injury. So it's like, well, I'm not saying he was lying because in his heart he thought he was 100% healthy. But really, to that fan, that 8-year-old girl, she's going to be like, well, you just lied to me.
Right.
So,
Also, I feel bad because like I want to support him and everything like that, but you lose that support and he has to come out with this PR now because anybody who really thinks about it for more than like a minute realizes that he did this and hurt pretty much everybody that was trying to support him.
yep. And now it's just going to go downhill from here.
I'm just laying the smackdown
So,
today,
from
man.
one injury to the next, Kobe Bryant has ruled himself out for the Friday games.
I like when players rule themselves out for games. I love
This is the Friday game
How do
was
you
actually.
feel about Kobe Bryant taking his time to come back?
I don't have much problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it. The Lakers are 9-9 without him, and they're
Oh.
actually not in like contention
Especially
in the playoffs.
In the Western Conference.
But
the Western is
they're,
pretty sad.
They're actually only
They're only like a
they're
game or
they're in
two out.
10th right now
Yeah.
in the standings.
So honestly, I figured, take your time.
Take your
there's
time.
no point, especially at his age, you know.
and especially
And-
since it's so early in the season right now.
yeah, I would figure if he came back pretty much any time within the next like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I mean, perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm. He was eyeing
Especially considering he's coming back really fast anyway.
he was eyeing his return on Friday's game, but I think maybe there was a setback.
I mean, and
Maybe
that's,
he's not
and that's
physically
perfectly
ready.
fine. Plus, I mean, they're probably going to have to work around him anyways. Like back to backs, probably not going to be much of an option at this point.
And also, it's a good start that he is actually practicing with the team, though.
Oh yeah, he's practicing
Getting in
dunking,
reps.
doing 5-on-5.
Yeah,
he's
getting in
doing
reps.
some contact drills now, which is really he's getting close.
Yeah, brief context. Like
Yeah.
the only thing he says he's sore when he has to like
Yeah.
change directions and
Oh,
everything. 'Cause,
and
like,
that's going to happen.
yeah, because I mean he's used to practicing to run, but not with people around or anything.
Oh, he
like,
was the one with the
and-
Achilles injury. That's
Yes.
what it was. Okay.
Um,
I was getting a little mixed up.
He's
on
used to
that.
the running and he's used to the jumping. He's just not used to putting everything together, from what I heard.
Yeah,
This-
and that takes a little
Yeah,
bit
that's
of
gonna
time.
take
I mean,
more time.
take
And it's gonna
take a
take
week
game
and take a
time,
week
too.
and work on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just
Well, that's
to,
going to take game
Yeah.
time too. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not going to happen, in practice.
But I
very
mean,
often.
probably like the first, even if he came back like a week and a half from now,
Mhm.
he's going to be playing like 20 minutes a game for the first couple games.
Yeah. Well, they're
Uh,
going to not.
I'll end my discussion with a quote that he said, referring to this conditioning, getting back into practices. He just says, "Just running into the shooting." This is I quote from Bryant. Because it's one thing to be out on the track all day and run. It's another thing to jump, run, change directions, and now gather your legs for a shot. You still kind of feel like you got those Bambi legs and that sort of thing. But the Achilles feels pretty good. Other than that, you're just dealing with typical things that a player playing 18 years is going to deal with. It's just sore here, sore there. And they actually say him really, it's still a possibility he might be able to play Sunday versus the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, and I just paraphrased that. Way to just go into immense detail.
Woo!
Good job.
Yeah.
I feel good about myself.
Go.
All right. So let's move on to our last NBA topic.
Aw.
Lawrence Frank has been reassigned for the Nets. Do you think this was a good move by Jason Kidd?
It's just a PR disaster.
It's a
in-
PR
in
disaster.
Town right now. He's the highest paid assistant in the league. He was recruited by
Do you
Jason
think
Kidd.
it was a good move by Jason Kidd?
Honestly,
reassign him?
I guess if it was truly a matter of different philosophies, fine. If it was just to punish him for something that's just the team sucking, then no. But-
The Nets are just terrible. I don't know about you, Josh, but I think they made the wrong decision
Well,
in going with Jason
we talked
Kidd.
about it last night on Four Sportsmen. Like
Mhm.
I gave my thoughts
Is he
on it.
the problem?
He's
If
not
he's
the
not the
problem.
problem, who is the problem?
The team. The team is the problem. I talk about this
And
team
they-
chemistry
yep.
and that kind of stuff, and basically you've got a collection of old gunners. Is effectively what you have. And Lopez. Well, Lopez. He's not old. But you got Lopez, but you basically have them surrounded by old gunners, and that's effectively what their team is made up of right now. And they're gunning and not making shots and not playing defense because who plays defense? And,
Nobody.
Who plays defense in the NBA?
Unless it's the Bulls. Bulls actually have
Bulls play
pretty good
defense. Grizzlies play pretty good
Yeah.
defense. Yeah. And honestly, I don't think he's the problem, but he's become a lightning rod at this point. He may be the person that eventually gets blamed, and it's sad because I mean this is his first shot and everything. There's going to be growing pains, but when you have so much money going into the situation, it's kind of hard. I mean, I get Prokhorov is like is he a billionaire?
He's a billionaire.
Yeah, I get that you have so much money, but if you're like hemorrhaging money every year, then there's a problem. But the Nets at least bring in money. It's not like the Bobcats where they supposedly were losing money, like legit losing money.
Yeah, I just thought it was a bad move to get in Pierce and Garnett in there too because they're aging. They don't really have anything left anymore, and they really don't give them the best shot to win a championship. And even though they were saying like, oh, they still got something left in them, no, they don't. Pierce is old. Garnett's old. He can only do jump shots. That's all
He
Garnett
can
can
score
do.
off the shots.
Yeah, but he's not very effective from out there.
That's different.
Who can't shoot jump shots?
AG.
Oh, he's just been bad this season.
Late,
Normally he can shoot
he
mid-range.
can shoot mid-range, but if he has to shoot like a 20-foot shot, he can't.
He's shooting like 30% this year.
Nice.
It's bad.
That's it.
So, it wasn't a good move for Kidd. Do you think it was a good move for the Nets as a whole
To
to
resign.
reassign this
I
I don't think it can get any worse.
Lawrence Frank?
Maybe it could get worse.
mean, you might as well. And he's brought in legal counsel. He's retaining legal counsel, and he's probably going to try for a buyout at some point. It's just looking uglier and uglier at this point.
Sounds wonderful. So that's the end of our NBA. Unless you guys want to bring anything up, I will give you 2 minutes to bring anything else up.
This is kind of a thing I wanted to hit on. That team that is a legit threat to beat the Heat, 2-time defending champion in Heat, I think the legit threat will be the Pacers in the East.
Fun fact: I called for them to win the title.
I hope they do.
Fun fact.
Because that's a good story, though.
Also,
I really like the Pacers.
I'd really love to get a little more buzz for both Kevin Love. I mean, the Timberwolves are playing pretty well, but for MVP consideration, I want a lot more buzz for Kevin Love and LaMarcus Aldridge
Yeah.
is playing like a beast.
His team is
crazy.
first in the West.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. He's going into beast mode.
Alright, so keep it here. We're going to go to college a little bit early because of that basketball game. We're cutting in about 45 and 45 instead of an hour. So keep listening here on 91.1 KAOR Radio as we come back with all of the college sports action.
Prokhorov apparently.
You okay? You're not going to die over there, right?
Prokhorov owned a basketball league in Russia. I'm trying to remember, I thought he's a politician, but I thought he won something.
Oh,
so
Winston cleared.
We're talking week 13 first, then week 14, then week 15.
Week 15.
Well, we'll talk week 15 at the end.
What's week 15?
Next week. Or this week.
What's week 14? Oh,
Both.
15's this week. 14 was last. Oh,
13,
13 was Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's why. I
We
was
skipped.
like,
We
what?
kind of skipped that week in NFL, but I'm just like, it's
We
fine.
weren't on though, so
It's fine.
because that was. So the week
Week
13.
13, week 14. So pick a game from week 13. And we'll talk about it. Josh, you looking to?
Prokhorov ran for president of Russia
Josh, were you even listening?
and lost to Putin. No, I was not.
We're going to talk college football. We're covering week 13 and week 14, so have a game from each
For
week.
college?
Yes.
College. Sure.
Because 14 was last week, 13.
Well, I need a game for both weeks.
Yeah. We'll just hit 13 quick because no one
Iron
knows
Ball.
That was last
This is
week.
the easiest.
That was the 14th.
That was 14?
Yeah, we're
Okay, so
week
oh
13.
Jesus.
I know.
Grr, okay,
No.
fine. Fine, I can do this. Get this. Holy balls, Florida State. What the?
I know.
Jesus.
I know the game I want to pick.
I know Idaho's bad, but holy crap.
I have two. Okay.
80. 80 points. Oh, yeah.
And welcome back here to Make Your Points. I'm your host, Victoria Harmony. With me, Josh Earl and Nathan Poole. As always, we decided to go with the original three to do a quick rundown of the past 3 weeks of sports, because that's how we do here in the station. If you just tuned in, you missed our pro abridged hour, 45 minutes. We are now moving on to college college football. Sorry, we'll talk college basketball in a bit. But so we have missed a few weeks. We are going back to week 13 of college football, and these guys have picked their games of week 13, as we do every week. So, who wants to go first?
You can go first, Josh.
Josh, you go first.
Unless you don't have them.
Fairly easy pick. Oklahoma State over Baylor.
Yeah, that was
They didn't
That
just
was-
beat them,
that
they
was impressive.
whopped them. Scored more points in the third quarter than Baylor scored the whole game. Because, you know, that offense was so good. But not for that game.
The one game I was going to bring up at that time was Arizona whomping Oregon.
Good.
I was very surprised at that score. It seemed like Oregon didn't even come to play. And yeah, it was just a complete shellacking. BCS titles are gone. And I would be surprised if they get in one of the big BCS bowls.
Well, we'll be talking about the BCS breakdown, because that certainly happened this past week.
Oh, okay.
BCS completely is in an upheaval. The game, since you brought up Oregon, the other game I wanted to bring up was LSU beating Texas A&M.
That would have been my
Towards
other
end
game.
as well.
Because we just celebrate them losing.
I do.
I do.
And that makes Texas A&M 8-3, I believe. So that takes about Johnny Manziel's Heisman hopes right up from
That was
under
his worst game.
him.
Of the season.
I am
Mine
not
is
upset
worst
about
game
that at
ever,
all.
actually.
So week 14, which was this past weekend.
There was a ton of like either upsets or near upsets in
There
week
was-
14.
one thing I wanted to bring, well, I guess it was from last week, but Northern Illinois was the first team to finish the regular season undefeated. They beat Western Michigan. So they
That's
finished the
another.
season
That's another one of the
undefeated.
undefeated teams that's not getting hyped because they're in such a weak conference.
But Jordan Lynch is getting quite a bit.
Yeah.
of
Yes.
Which he kind of deserves some.
He does deserve it. So, since this happened last week, and as Josh brought up, there were quite a few good games, I will allow you to have 2 games.
I'm going to go off the beaten path because we know what the big one
We
is.
know what the big one is.
San Jose State knocking off Fresno State and
Yes.
their undefeated run.
That was a good one to bring up. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, I guess. I'm wondering if anybody played defense in this game.
They did.
Like legit.
Really.
There's
Well,
no
they did,
defense
They
to be
did in the
had.
second half because pretty much
Oh, yeah.
all the scoring
'Cause
happened
the
in the first half, right?
The first quarter, Fresno State put up 27, and that was more than half of their points for the game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, other upsets or almost upsets actually. 'Cause
We'll
there's
bring
some
up the big
almost
one. Come on.
Now,
No,
Or are we
not
talking
doing
I'm
that
leaving
one
it for
just
her.
yet.
I'm leaving it for her.
okay.
We're not doing that one just yet.
Just trying to pick which one. I'm
Well,
gonna go
can
with.
I?
Oh,
You can go back and
here, I'm going to go with a near upset because I picked an upset the first one. Well, that's actually big too. I'm going to go with near upset. TCU almost upsetting Baylor.
Yeah, that was a good.
Only
game.
losing by 3 when Baylor looked so good 2 weeks ago. So good.
I
And
still
then
think they
just,
look good. They just don't look as good as they.
yeah.
All right, so Nate, your 2 picks.
I know you're going to probably punch me afterwards. Iowa, Nebraska. That was a good game. That was a good game.
That wasn't a good game. Yeah.
Okay, that's why I
That was
said
a
you
really
probably
bad
punch me.
game.
Good times, good times.
That's
I'm
why
really
it's-
tempted to mute you.
But hey,
it's
no.
a bad reason.
I'll make it up to you, though.
Will
You mute me for
Yeah,
worse
wait, no.
reasons.
I will make it up to her. Duke won
Duke did win.
against North Carolina, and
it
they
was a really close
clinched.
game.
They
And they
barely
clinched.
won.
They clinched that side, or their ACC
I
North
watched that game.
or ACC Coastal, whatever their division is.
Yeah, they're
They
close.
clinched that, and they will face FSU this weekend.
They do, but we're talking about next weekend later. So,
Yep.
well, this weekend later.
I'm just saying.
There's
Way to get
just so
ahead
many
of the
this
game.
week.
I know there was so many.
All right, you're
so
up.
many
You're
good
two.
games. My turn.
Go with the big one.
Yep, bring the big
Oh,
one.
where did I go for last?
Oh, fine.
Okay.
Michigan and Ohio State I thought was a very good game because Ohio State only won by
Yeah.
1 point, and that was Michigan State didn't get the 2-point
Michigan.
conversion or Michigan,
Yeah.
yeah, excuse me. Michigan didn't get the 2-point conversion at the end to win.
Don't want to go for the ties. We gotta go for broke.
I
Well,
would've went
dude,
for
I
it
would
as well.
have went for two too.
I would have went for it as well.
You have a shot to beat off an undefeated team.
Maybe I'm just so
Conservative.
Traditional.
I'm a little conservative.
Also, Oregon
Unless I
only
play
beat Oregon State by 1 point, 36-35.
They came back and won that. Oregon did. They were down by 2 touchdowns late.
And I already brought up Northern Illinois,
If
so
you don't have one, there's one that just makes me happy inside.
Texas beat Texas Tech.
That was a good game.
Not that one.
What makes you happy inside?
I like that Penn State's doing better.
Yeah, they defeated Wisconsin.
Yep.
That was surprising for Wisconsin.
Wisconsin almost came back and won it.
All right, so the BCS breakdown because we need to bring up that big game. Alabama and Auburn in the Iron Bowl. Number 1, Alabama went down to number 4. I believe they were
With that
ranked.
Yes.
miracle kick return.
It was a fluke. I'm so sick of seeing that on ESPN. I really am. I'm just seeing that
Well,
same flag.
fortunately, I just
Fluke.
don't really watch TV, so I don't have to deal with it.
Fluke or not, they did win.
It was a fluke. Yeah, they won. Except now today it's all about famous Jameis. But we'll talk
Yeah.
about him as well.
Oh yeah,
So
forgot about him for a second.
today was his big day. It was his big day.
And not a big day like celebratory way.
Actually, it kind of
Well,
was.
it is kind of a
was.
celebration.
It's kind of a
I
celebration.
escaped. A celebration.
But
I am not charged with that
we'll
R
get-
word.
We'll get to him later, guys. All right, so the
Oh.
BCS breakdown with Alabama losing and all of that stuff happening. The weekend kind of threw the whole rankings into turmoil. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
FSU took number 1 as was their rightful place, being one of the undefeated teams. Ohio State jumped to number 2 because they are also undefeated. Auburn went to number 3 for beating Alabama, and then Alabama dropped from number 1 to number 4, just below Auburn. And that's it. And everybody else basically stayed the same.
Yeah.
Alabama,
Because Missouri had a good win as well, but they won over a 22 A&M, so they stayed at 5. And then Oklahoma State, as we said, did we say? No, that was Oregon. But
Is Oklahoma State at 6?
Oklahoma State 6.
They just keep knocking off people.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's why
Oklahoma
they're up
State
so
6,
high.
Stanford 7, and pretty much everybody else stayed the same. Like Baylor stayed at 9. Like I'm thinking at the notable. LSU stayed at 15. NIU stayed at 14. Like everybody else pretty much stayed. It was just the top like
I think
4.
Oklahoma State just it's not because of that one loss to West Virginia. Just
Yeah,
it's
that
sad.
was the team.
They're
I
so
actually
good.
watched that
Oh,
game
Duke
too.
Rose. They're 20. They were 24.
Yay.
That's a big deal, okay?
That's a big deal for the football program.
It's
yeah.
a big deal for Duke. And I think
and
their
actually,
coach was named
yeah.
Camp
Yep.
Coach of the Year or
Yep.
whatever.
I did read that too.
I read that as well. So, do you agree with the rankings as they stand now? Just the top 4. Missouri 5, I mean, it's
I
whatever.
do actually, because I mean, for FSU and Ohio State, despite everybody having weak as hell schedules, the fact
Because
that
Alabama's and Auburn's were so much better.
basically they get on merit being undefeated, so I just don't have much problem with that. And Auburn deserves to be above Alabama because they beat Alabama. They're both one-loss teams, and that's just kind of what it is.
Nate, do you agree? Yes or no?
Well, looking at it, I can see why they put it the way it is. Excuse me.
Marshall's
To be honest with you, Auburn I think should be number 2. They beat Alabama, a high-powered team. Ohio State, I still believe, has not played anybody. They played a Michigan team that came in. It's a rivalry game. Of course, they're going to play tough.
Well, it's really more Ohio State, Michigan State. It's not really Ohio, Michigan.
Well, I'm talking this last week.
It's
No,
just,
I know, but the rivalries.
Yeah.
were Ohio
it's just
State,
because they're
Michigan State.
undefeated. Fun fact, though, Ohio State's played 2 ranked opponents.
That's it.
How many has Auburn
And
played?
I don't
looking it
know. The
up.
highest ranked they played was 16.
And look at some of these matchups against Big Ten. They're very close.
Auburn?
They played 6 ranked teams. Well, they will play. They'll play Missouri for the championship.
Well, then Ohio State would play 3rd. We'll play 3.
If it was me, and if you don't worry about computer standings or anything like that, me personally, I put Auburn second. And then FSU deserves to be number one.
Right now,
because
right now, I'm fine with it. If Auburn wins this game against Mizzou, then I kind of
Well,
have to give
you-
it the being.
Well,
You-
this
you
weekend
can't
could
because-
really change everything.
Yeah.
Because, I mean...
Because there's a bunch of upset bets that could happen.
Exactly. Ohio State's not guaranteed
Ohio
to
State
beat
could
Michigan
easily
State.
lose,
They
really.
could easily lose. to
FSU
Michigan State
could
if
easily
Michigan
lose.
State- I wouldn't
Give it
say. I
Duke.
wouldn't say easily. I would not say easily. I think it'd be
I'm
cool.
not so sure about that
I think it'd be
one.
cool if Duke would challenge them. Well, be fair.
I think they'll
you know,
challenge, but I
Florida,
don't think they're going to.
Florida State played Florida, and Florida's missing 14 people this year,
Yeah, a lot
something
of
like that, and they only beat Florida by 30 points. You're out of the camp.
I somehow made it go down.
Go
You're
up.
out of the camp.
Alright.
But they only beat Florida by 30 points, missing like their entire offensive line, missing their top running back, missing their quarterback. So I mean, they only beat Florida by that much. How are they going to do against Duke?
And
That's
you know,
what my-
Duke, people are looking at Duke as a team that's going to get throttled this weekend. You could look at it that this coach believes in this team, and he could tell them this week going into this game, you guys are better than what people are telling you are. Yeah. I guess we can agree the defense has flaws. Defense is not the best,
Yeah, most definitely.
but the
Especially
offense,
against UNC,
the
it's not
offense
great.
has shown that they can put up points.
Right.
Fun
And
fact
I
though,
think-
if we're looking at like rankings and that kind of stuff too, though, Duke has played 2
I
ranked
know.
opponents,
Well, FSU.
and the
hasn't
highest they
that
played
many.
was 14. Virginia Tech they beat by 3.
And then they beat
Florida
Miami.
State's played. I'm pulling them up now. They played 2. Or 3. Excuse me. Maryland, who was a fleet 25. Clemson and then Miami, Florida. So it's not like FSU's played that many ranked teams. either.
But they dominated the ranked teams. They
It's
played.
true. They dominated everybody except for Florida.
Yeah.
Fun fact: that
Well,
game against
they
Florida.
didn't dominate Florida. They
They won't-
won 37-7.
Considering how they've been dominating, I don't consider it as well as they could have
So a
done.
30-point win is no longer
But
domination
I'm
with a
bringing up
team that's that
points.
high up.
That broke the streak. They were going to go. They were trying to break the record or whatever for going all season, scoring more than 40 points, and
Yeah.
Florida game broke that streak.
Oh noes.
I know.
No.
Oh noes. We're only undefeated.
So,
No.
not just the rankings, but obviously the top 4 is something that's considered for the national championship BCS bowl game. Who do you think, as of this week, should be in the bowl game, in the championship?
You mean the championship,
yes,
right?
the championship.
After this week, or
As of
We're talking like
this week,
deserves
not this
it, or
weekend.
just going by merit because of the rankings.
Well, if you're gonna go deserves it, you're not gonna pick the ranked person much, are you? I know
Probably
you.
not.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Probably not.
in my opinion, I still go with my gut. Florida State, Auburn.
I'd love to see Florida State.
I would love to see that.
Do you
game.
think Auburn's better than Alabama?
Yeah.
Yeah. Their defense is better. Their offense is better.
Okay.
They're more high-powered. Sorry.
I'm
Kind of funny. The West been knocking Alabama all
and,
season.
then,
like, no.
and then Victoria gives us that face like, you guys are idiots.
I'm just gonna be cynical Sandy. Be all, no,
So,
cynical
how
Sandy.
dated is that reference?
I think I just made that one
Oh,
up
man.
actually. So, like pessimistic calling.
You don't know what that means.
I can come up with these things.
Whoa,
But-
why?
I don't. Just because Auburn won on a last-second play that neither of the coaches had ever seen happen before, ever had seen a team win off of before, all of a sudden Auburn's better. And let's not discount McCarron's excellent game.
I will bring this up. Alabama had a chance to clinch this game. 3 missed field goals, unacceptable.
4.
4 missed field goals if you add that long one. 3 early in the game from their veteran
No,
kicker.
I understand. I'm saying the kicker
So
didn't do
their
good,
veteran kicker lost them that game.
but just because that's the
And
reason that
he
Auburn's
received
better.
death threats because of it.
Well, I would think so.
So, yeah, I bet
I've
he's
heard
feeling.
people get death
I
threats for
bet he's feeling
less
down
than
in the
that.
dumps right now. So,
But the reason they have their kicker had an off day, so now Auburn's better. That's what's making Auburn better than Alabama.
Auburn has shown me personally that they can be one of those good teams. They have lost only one game, and I think that was against LSU. LSU's no slouch, but they beat Alabama, and I'm not just saying on that last play.
But
That entire game, it seemed like they had them on the
They
ropes.
beat Alabama in Auburn in a rivalry game. And you're saying now Alabama isn't as good as Auburn because they had to go to Auburn to get this win, and they lost a rivalry game? I mean, it'd be like USD going up to SDSU and losing by 6 points in SDSU. Does that make SDSU a better team than USD? Assuming we were at the same level.
Well, no, it doesn't, but...
Then how does this relate? How does it make Auburn a better team than Alabama?
Just their playmakers. Their quarterback
And
is
McCarron's
improved.
not?
He is a playmaker. I'm not saying he's not.
So what are you trying to say?
The defense overall for Auburn is better than Alabama. The offenses are quite the same. But I do think that Auburn, if you put them up against an FSU team, that could be a very, very good game, a very close game, possibly Auburn winning it. And same thing with Alabama. Alabama is just always good. But you look at this game, and if you really want to say Alabama is better than Auburn even after this loss, so be it. But I look at it saying that they had a chance to clinch this game. Special teams failed for them, and that's why they lost.
So, points against, according to ESPN stats here, they have the stats on the club pages. Points against for Alabama, so that's their defense, correct? Yeah. They are ranked second, allowing 11.3. Points against for Auburn are 31st, 22.5. And that's just the defense.
Did Auburn play a few more good offensive teams?
Yeah, that's probably why. Alabama has played nobody.
Passing yards.
When they do play people, they're like 9-year-old blind girls.
Alabama's passing yards, they're ranked 62nd. I'm not saying that's good. But Auburn's passing yards is 105th.
You can keep making your case. I will just not. I won't.
Hey, can I? How about I do some statistical stuff while you guys?
No.
Oh, because I like statistics.
We're moving on anyway. That's all I'm gonna do with that.
I'm just curious about like the offenses they played.
That's fine. You can do it after.
Okay, they played Alabama. Are you talking Auburn? Right.
I'm looking at Alabama versus Auburn.
But if you want to look at teams that Auburn has played, LSU, Texas A&M,
they played good teams.
Alabama,
I didn't say they didn't.
Mizzou, or they're going to play Mizzou. They played good teams, and don't knock them out of that just because they had a fluke game against Alabama.
I'm not
this team
saying
is
that
better.
I'm not saying they're not a good team. I'm just saying that I don't think that they're better than Alabama just because they won on one fluke play.
I don't think it was a fluke.
It wasn't a fluke.
Like I'm saying, I'm still going to stick with my argument and saying that Alabama had a shot to clinch this game, and they did not do it. And that's the
I would agree with that.
That's what I'm going to say.
I would
I'm not
agree
gonna
that Alabama didn't clinch, but I would say that I still think that Alabama's a better team than Auburn. And, I mean, you can look at the entire game. McCarron had a great game. He had 3 touchdowns, 277 yards.
Marshall had a great game.
And McCarron had the longest touchdown
Amani
history.
Cooper. 99 yards.
Yeah, in Alabama history. So, I mean, he had a great game, and that's just getting completely discounted because Alabama lost. And I think that's not fair. But, so as it stands right now, you both say Florida State and Auburn.
Is that what you said?
Is what I'd like to see.
In my opinion, do I think that's going to happen? In my gut, I say no. In my gut, I think it's going to be those 2 top teams right now.
As much as I'd like to see,
Michigan State will give Ohio State for a run for their money, but I think
as much as it's basically the way I said it a long time ago. As much as I'd like to see Ohio State get Ken knocked off, I still figure they're going to go undefeated.
I still think Michigan State. But regardless of that whole fact, we're saying Florida State, Ohio State is the top 2 teams right now in the national championship. Do you think Alabama's berth to the national championship is completely ruined?
Alabama, like they can't get in?
Yes.
Not necessarily.
I don't think it's completely ruined. If
Ohio State loses,
if both of those top
Auburn
2 teams lose, I think Alabama jumps to at least 2.
I would think so.
And I would not be surprised if
both of the top 2 teams lose?
Well,
I'm giving
2
a
and
scenario.
3, not top 2. Or, well, I guess
I'm giving the scenario.
If any 2 of the top 3 lose.
Yes.
I
don't think so. I think Auburn jumps. Auburn will take the spot. If Ohio State loses, I think Auburn jumps to 2, and Alabama jumps to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there would be another team.
But if Auburn loses,
if 2 out of 3, if 2 out of 3 lose,
if any 2 of the top 3 teams lose,
but they need 2 out of 3 teams to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. If Florida State loses, oh my gosh.
If Florida State loses, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah,
How
really.
about if Florida State and Ohio State both lost, and then there'd just be like no undefeated
Then
teams?
it's Auburn and Bama again.
If Auburn wins against
Oh,
Missouri,
yeah.
they move up to 1.
Yeah,
and
no,
if
I
Alabama
know, but I
wins-
mean, I'm just thinking
But
that'd be fun.
okay, here, hey, let's play a fun game. If FSU lose and Ohio State lose, obviously they're out of there, right?
Mhm.
What if Mizzou beats Auburn?
What if Mizzou beats Auburn?
Then
Yeah.
Then what?
Alabama and Missouri would both jump up.
Then
Because Missouri's
yeah.
left.
Then Alabama, I think, maybe could play.
Then Bama would,
but it
Bama would
depends-
still jump
It
Auburn.
depends on the points for how far FSU and OSU would drop. Because if they just drop to like
4 and
2
5.
or 3,
Well, FSU plays.
because I mean,
Duke.
I think if Florida
Duke?
State, if Florida
It was like a
State
20.
loses, yeah,
They'll drop quite a bit.
no, I don't think they would. I think they might just drop to 2.
If they were playing like a number 6 or something, then they wouldn't drop that much. But if they're playing like someone ranked
But
lower than
considering there's
15,
not a lot of
It,
ranked
it,
teams
it
playing.
could be a whole thing though. If Duke smokes FSU, I could see them drop dramatically.
Yeah, well, if they just smoke them though. But I mean, is Duke really gonna smoke it?
no.
So I mean, like I could see them just dropping them to like 2 or 3 because that's really not.
If they
that
lost
big
by
a
like a point.
deal. In
to
Ohio
Duke,
State,
maybe.
Michigan State's what 11? 10. They're 10.
Yeah,
So I mean, if a 10 beats a 2,
I think it would depend on how much they beat them by.
right?
in that
Exactly.
one.
And
If
I
Michigan
mean, that's
if
really
Michigan State like
dependent.
squeaked out like a 1-point win, Ohio State would probably drop to 3, which I think would still take them out of the championship
Mhm.
thing, but they'd still be ranked high. They get that second bowl. Is this a 3 and 4? They play like a secondary bowl.
What are you talking about?
The 3 and 4 ranked.
In the BCS standings?
Yes.
I don't
Well,
think
go
so.
Or do you
different
just play
bowls.
your
Yeah.
conference?
They just go
bowl
different.
thing?
They go different bowls.
Oh no.
So Josh and I were talking about something the other day that was interesting. Does a team need to be undefeated to be in the national championship bowl games?
No,
No.
we saw
If it just
happen
happens
a couple
that
years
way,
ago.
fine, but they don't have to be. Typically speaking, it's not going to be more than one loss.
Yeah,
Usually.
if you, I think really a team can only have 1 loss in order to make it up there.
Hasn't a
It's
2-2
probably
loss
it's
gotten-
probably a 2-loss team has probably made it up to the championship because it possibly would have been the entire league, the entire NCAA college world had a good season.
That being said, it's really not a perfect system, nor is it a perfect system with making schedules either. Because you have teams that go undefeated, like Notre Dame last year, played a powder puff schedule effectively,
Yeah, exactly.
and went undefeated.
And then look what happened in the championship.
Or you have teams that end up with like 2 losses, but they play like a ton of ranked opponents, and as an AD, it's a lose-lose situation effectively.
So no, I don't think you have to go undefeated to be in the BCS. But I do think if your chances are slim though if you get 2 losses.
And it becomes a little better next year with the playoff system, with the top 4 teams going to a playoff, because then we won't have this situation where like a 2-loss team who played out tough schedule could make like the playoffs.
Yep.
Right, most definitely. I just remember we were talking about Northern Illinois, and I brought that up to you, and you thought that was a good point.
You know, every once in a while I think back to like, I'm gonna toot my own horn, I don't care. I think I contributed to this stuff, and then I'm like, a year ago,
A year ago, I didn't make you watch college
this
football.
would be nothing. I
So,
don't really watch it.
we
much.
are
I
going
read.
to take a break and then come back with some more college football things and happenings. So keep listening here to 91.1. Make your point.
Forgot that,
I thought I might have said 99 instead of 91. I'm just like, crap, that's the Sioux Falls station.
See,
God damn it.
I read a lot about this stuff.
Okay, so we're going to talk about quarterbacks.
All right, so there's some.
Jameis Winston, Zach Mettenberger, Bryce Petty, Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Mettenberger is such a huge loss.
Mettenberger,
for
he's
LSU.
still go. Was he a senior?
He is a senior. He's
And
done.
he was
Sucks.
actually scheduled to go. Now he might.
He's still going to. He has to go to the draft.
Yeah, he's going to go to the draft.
but he's going to fall a
They're
lot.
thinking with this surgery that it might possibly be done by LSU's pro day. His
Okay.
recovery. Maybe.
So, who
Hey,
do you have
fun
on for-
fact.
Okay, you have
Jameis.
Mariota then.
Jameis is first.
According to an
You have 15 seconds.
According to an investigation by the Washington Post, the NSA is currently tracking the locations of hundreds of millions of cell phones worldwide belonging to both Americans and foreigners, with the agency collecting nearly 5 billion new records per day. Wow!
Welcome back here to Make Your Point. I'm your host, Victoria Harmony. With me, Josh Earl and Nathan Poole as we go on to quarterback situations.
Yay.
Way to be involved, guys.
Sorry.
I was letting him read stuff.
Wow.
Way
It's
to be
interesting
involved.
stuff.
Yeah, you don't have to say it though.
Oh,
So, our first one, since he had such a big day today, Jameis Winston from Florida State.
Boom.
beating the rap.
Oops.
As we all know, Jameis Winston was in a little bit of trouble with some girl from a year ago now, I think it was December 7th, 2012. It was
Yeah.
filed. So nearly a year ago, he was charged with sexual assaults of this woman.
Was he actually charged? Or was he just accused?
He was accused. You're correct. He was accused. But all charges have been dropped as of today. There was
Because
a
they
press release
brought up the
today.
case again and then said,
And where did that story come from reportedly? Johnny Manziel's camp.
Oh, that
So-
actually surprised me.
I know.
Well, all's well that ends well, isn't it?
Fun?
All's
Johnny
well that ends-
Manziel.
You
And
know,
of course, that's only allegedly. I don't know any facts. Of course, it might not have come from his camp, but it's kind of
I
odd.
kind of hope it didn't in the same way. Cause
It's
that
kind of
was a really
odd
good
that,
thing.
all of a sudden this comes up and it was from whatever. So, Jameis is totally free. He's going to play on Sunday.
You'll
against
finish the
Duke.
season.
He will finish the season because if he were to be charged, he would have been put in jail today. Actually, he would have been taken into custody. So now he's on a plane to North Carolina, and all is happy. Heisman chances. What do you think this says for his Heisman
Very high
chances?
now.
It
Well,
definitely
really,
was.
if in my opinion, I think whatever happens, I think he has it. But I hate to say it, that I hate to pick a Heisman candidate or a Heisman winner right now today, but I think it's Jameis Winston to win. If he does well, if he wins this and the championship, he's gonna win.
Well, that's
I've got the same kind of thing, but it's basically a different way of putting it. Like I put it last night, it's his to lose, effectively. It's his to lose by play. And that's just kind of the way it is. If FSU were to, say, get upset or something like that, then it would be big. But it's still his to lose in this case.
So basically, like, the charges were dropped essentially because they didn't have enough evidence to move forward with it. Do you agree with the decision?
Well, considering this happened a year ago or anything like that, and with the sexual assault cases, it's kind of hard to get concrete evidence anyways. So it kind of makes sense. That being said, we're never truly going to know exactly what happened.
Well, they have a ton of evidence and investigation into this, and a lot of it I was reading through the articles, and a lot of it was just like not matching up. Like her story and his story weren't matching up, and then there was.
She changed her story like
Exactly.
2 or 3 times basically during
And
the
I think
investigation.
that's why they came to the decision that they don't have enough conclusive evidence to put him behind
It was
bars.
honestly getting kind of annoying because I get that you need to show from the base you have to show support toward the alleged victim. Basically, that's how it works in sexual assault cases. But at the same time, she brought this stuff forward, and then when it was challenged, she effectively changed up her story, and then she just said, "Okay, I'm just gonna drop them," and now the story came back up, and they just came back up.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured the justice system effectively worked correctly as it was supposed to.
And a guy named Meggs, I think he was the guy that was...
Thanks was the attorney.
Okay, he was the attorney. But he talked to this woman who was recalling that she got raped. And he even says her recall of the events of that night had been moving around quite a bit. And he even said that he didn't think prosecutors could put an accuser on the stand and count on her to prove elements of this crime. Because it was so it was this one day, this another day. This one day, and it was just so all
Right.
over.
The one detail that stood out to me though was search warrants in the case were released before the announcement, and they had to take her blood alcohol level because apparently they'd been drinking. And she even said, this happened after a night of drinking, but her blood alcohol level was .04, which
That's a little bit of drinking.
Well, but she said that they had taken, I think, 6 shots of tequila or something, and that would be more than .04, and then they had drinks as well.
Significantly
Exactly.
more than
And
0.04.
so, that kind of stuff just doesn't add up to me, because she's just like, well, we had all this drinking, and she
I don't know.
was
To
telling
be
all the
completely
shots.
fair, we don't know 100% what happened because, in the psychology of it, if sexual assault does happen, a lot of people have PTSD and that kind of stuff afterwards. So it's
Also-
and that messes with your memory
Right,
and all that kind of stuff.
right.
And eyewitness accounts are so
Right,
unreliable.
I
generally
know.
speaking.
But also something that was brought up in the investigatory reports, there was no signs of struggle. There was no, indicatory bruises or
Yeah.
indicatory like scratches,
Yeah.
whatever. Like directly after the team, because they had to, investigate it right after, and there was no sign of that at all on her or on him.
Basically, there was
So-
there was a lot of evidence going against. I think there was like some kind of eyewitness account, like how she said it was him, but someone said it was just someone that looked like him or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, she said couldn't even recall
Except she was
who.
5'9", and Jameis Winston's like 6'1". That's super close.
Not.
All right, so his Heisman chances are now looking up since
Yeah.
he is all cleared and everything is wonderful and rainbow.
I think it won't be the. I mean, it's going to have some negative impact, but the fact that he's been cleared will at least help effectively. Because just being accused of stuff tarnishes in some people's eyes, but the fact that these are who votes on this again?
the
Heisman voter.
the alumni of the Heisman class, so all the Heisman winners, and then I believe some media. Also.
So on the plus side, it's people that have been like trained for this, as opposed to like someone off the street.
Yeah.
The same people that voted Johnny Manziel as the winner.
To be fair, he didn't have all these problems then.
To be fair,
He was the golden boy at the time.
I'm still upset about last year's Heisman because they refused to let 2 members of the party go in order to give Johnny Manziel more votes. Because you're supposed to take the top 5, they took the top 3 because they thought it would take away from Manziel's votes. So they only took 3.
Awesome sauce.
So I'm still upset about that. But they're taking 5 again this year, so kudos,
That's what they say. Who
kudos to
knows?
all 5
They
that
take
make
5
it.
and then they still can't.
Well, it's not so much of like a kind of runaway golden boy situation this year.
Still, I don't know more. So, next quarterback situation. Zach Mettenberger from LSU.
It's just sad.
He suffered a torn ACL and an MCL sprain during the Arkansas game, which was this past weekend. They did win that game. However, because of that injury, he's going to miss the bowl game. He is a senior, and he is reported to have surgery and will hopefully return this spring for LSU's Pro Day. Of course, that may or may not happen.
And
With
this
a
is-
torn ACL,
And a sprained
himself.
MCL. Sprained.
probably
Sprained
won't
MCL.
happen by spring.
He's going to have to do extensive rehab in order to get there.
And like miracle recovery is like AP. That would be about 4 or 5
It
months.
happens.
He's got 5 months to recover.
Which the typical ACL tear will take about 8?
4.5 maybe.
No, it takes a little longer.
No, I'm just saying he has like 4.5 months
Oh,
to recover.
but typical ACL tear would take about 8 months to recover ish.
I'd say
AP
6.
got
What?
I'd say
injured
6.
in
6.
December, so it took him
6 on a low
6
scale,
months.
I'd
to
say.
If you're
get
relatively
full
quick
form.
with recovering, it goes from about 6 to 8.
Because he
6 to
started
9
week
probably.
1 of
Peterson
the
was
season, so I think he was pretty much healthy in the summer. So about 7
7
months it
seven.
took him off of just an ACL tear.
And they were calling his a miracle recovery.
Yeah.
So.
So, I mean, tough break for Mettenberger. What do you think this says for LSU's chances in whatever bowl game they go
To be fair, their backup isn't terrible.
No, of course not.
backup's
The
really
freshman
good.
quarterback, he did a great
Oh, yeah,
job.
the backup's really good. So I
Because
think
he had
they
to
still,
come in at the end of that.
I think they still have a
Arkansas
pretty good chance.
Well-
It's just sad for him.
game. Well, yes and no, because, I mean, coming into a game's one thing, starting a game is
yeah.
a
Who
totally
do they
different
who do they
thing.
play? Anyway.
Well, they haven't been released yet. They'll be released after this week.
Oh, all right, you're talking.
Bowl games. I'm not talking
Wait,
about
did they not win their SEC? No, they didn't.
They
win
beat
it.
Arkansas, yeah,
Because
they're
Arkansas because Missouri and Auburn are playing.
Yeah,
each other.
exactly. There we
Okay.
go. Well, we're all on the same page now, guys.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Good job.
Congrats. So the bowl games aren't released this week. They're released next week because
Oh,
we
no.
have the championship games happening this
Yeah.
week. Okay?
So we don't really have much of an idea until we know who's
But
playing.
still, it's going to be hard for a freshman quarterback that's only had a handful of snaps to go in and start
Maybe
against
start in the bowl
anybody.
game.
Exactly.
Pretty
Or
much,
start in the bowl game.
pretty much next
Let's
week.
just throw you under a bus.
You realize I'm not saying like it's not going to be hard for him, right?
Pretty much next week, the only game that's going to be on is Army Navy. Woo!
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good game. Always.
That's all I've got for about pregame stuff.
Okay.
I figured you
All right, so
Okay, next one. Well, 2. Because they're kind of the same
Or
thing.
2.
Ish. We'll hit Baylor first. Bryce Petty is returning for his senior season.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Good news for
wow.
I actually
Baylor?
didn't. No,
I didn't hear that story.
I
Is
didn't
this
hear
good
about
news for
that.
Baylor? Yes or no?
It's
Yeah.
good news for Baylor, and it's good news for it's a smart decision for Petty
I figured this is
because
pretty much.
he just learns more, and he enters next year where there's not going to be a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah. Plus, if you're like a borderline guy, this is not the year to go out. This is not the year you want to go out because there's so many top flight quarterbacks going this year.
Mhm.
Next year, Not so much.
And on the same thread, Marcus Mariota is returning for his senior season.
It's junior.
I thought,
It,
well,
it
'cause he said
said
he's
junior.
Academically senior. Academically
Because
senior.
I saw that he was going to graduate, so I thought he was a senior.
it's complicated. I really hate
So
how that works.
he's returning for his final season.
Okay.
Good for Oregon.
Kind of the
Oh,
same thing
great
with
for
Bryce
Oregon.
Petty. It's the same thing with Bryce Petty. You enter this year, especially with the injury he had late this season. You enter next year, you're going to be with Bryce Petty in the first round.
Plus, going into this next season, and especially after the injury and everything like that, and he's still recovering from that, I figure next year he is an early candidate to start looking at the number one pick.
And as a Heisman winner.
Yeah.
Unless he gets injured
Unless
or he
he
has
gets
a golden boy syndrome like USC. What's his name?
Barkley.
Barkley. Unless he has a senior year like Barkley. And
Barkley still got drafted in the third round, man.
third round though. I
Bad
mean,
draft.
they were talking about him going number 1. So.
He fell a
Knock
little
on
bit.
wood.
And he's looking terrible in the NFL, too.
All right.
really.
So those were the quarterback situations here on Make Your Points.
Yeah.
How about next week's games?
Next week.
Well, this week's.
Sorry.
I always say next week, but it's this week. What
Well-
game is catching your interest?
I don't want to pick the two big ones. We already know it's 1 and 2.
All right, you don't pick the
Okay.
two big ones.
But
No one's allowed to pick the
the
two.
one
What are the two big ones? I know one of the big ones.
it's the
ones we already talked about.
it's the two teams that are 1 and 2 in the BCS
Oh,
standings. So it's
okay.
going to be
Yeah.
big.
Okay.
But I'm going to pick one from Big 12, Texas and Baylor. I'm a Texas fan,
I know.
and Texas will have their hands full against Baylor. So I hope,
Baylor's been doing a little iffy the last couple.
and I kind of hope that
I
Texas
think with
can
the win
upset
against
them.
Texas, it'll solidify their standings. So
Against the number 25, Texas.
I think it'll if they get a solid win, I think it'll solidify it. You know.
If they blow up Texas. Well, I mean, they're
That'd be
solidified
solid
at
win,
9.
Well,
Solidified
to be
at
honest
nine.
with you, I think Baylor's going to get in one of the big bowls anyway.
You mean 1 and
Oh, yeah. Well, not like the big.
3,
Well,
not 1 and 2,
no.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not saying the 1 and 2.
Right. Okay.
I,
Anyway,
like there's like 5 bowls that are actually quite big. Tostitos, Rose Bowl,
yeah,
kind of
no,
one of those
there's
bowls.
there's the national one, and then there's the 4. The
Yeah.
big 4.
Yep.
And then the
They'll
rest
get
of
in
them
one
are
of
just
those
like it.
They'll get
So-
in one of those big 4.
But we'll talk about that next week. Don't get ahead of
There's
us.
there's two other interesting ones that I see.
Perhaps you can pick one.
I don't know which one you're going
Pick
for,
one.
so I don't. Fine, I'll do rivalry. Oklahoma at Oklahoma State.
Okay.
17-6.
See, I can improvise, and I can do everything. Why do you want Oklahoma State, Oklahoma? Just because?
Well,
It
I
was
just,
the-
I just
it's
like
the battle-
Oklahoma State right
It's
now.
the battle of the Oklahomas.
I feel like if Oklahoma State wins this game, it solidifies them too.
I'm gonna go Pac-12, Stanford, Arizona State.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I knew it was one or the other.
I could have gone either way,
Yeah.
but honestly,
You
I'm
could've.
also interested in, obviously the big 3, which I'm sure all of us are. Ohio State, Michigan State. I still think Michigan State's gonna lose. What upset are you gonna call this week? I'm gonna call mine Michigan State over Ohio State. You get 1 upset.
You're going to say Michigan State?
Michigan State's gonna beat Ohio State.
Sweet.
1 upset.
Yeah, that would be the one I would go with too. I don't think Duke will have enough manpower to beat FSU, and the same thing with Auburn. I think Auburn will eke it out against Missouri.
I don't know about that one, but
I'm saying
calling
it's gonna be closer
you
than people.
like Auburn? I'm just kidding. How about Northern Illinois Bowling Green? That'll be fun. Josh, what's your upset?
Here, give me a second. I'm just
Meeny, meeny,
researching.
miny, mo. There's like
Not a
Fine.
whole
6
lot.
games.
Arizona State over Stanford.
Okay, that's a good one.
Oh,
I would go with that one too. Good job.
I was just looking up how
Good
they've
job.
been doing lately.
I don't know why you
Because I don't.
had to. Okay.
What? Because I don't memorize this
So
stuff.
again, all of these are conference championship games. So tune into those this week, and then the following week will be BCS.
Hey, just a quick
bowl
question.
games.
Do you think it hurts Alabama that they're not playing this week?
Probably not.
Maybe a little
Let's
bit.
jump from FBS to FCS because it's their postseason too.
Yeah.
The first round already happened. What is this? Furman
We're
beat
not in it.
South Carolina State 30-20.
Who's
Coastal Carolina beat Bethune-Cookman. Hey, that's in the MEAC. That's in some
Yeah,
better states.
that's
That's in
it.
some better states. But they lost 48-24. So Coastal Carolina moved on. On the bottom, well, on the right side of the top side of the bracket,
Where
we
are
have,
you finding this?
I got it on NCAA.com.
Uh-huh.
Whoa.
Just Google it. FCS playoff.
FCS playoff.
FCS playoffs 2015.
Championship. Yeah, so.
Okay, so South Dakota State beat Northern Arizona. They had to play in the first round. Again, all these games were on November 30th, so these other games completed. South Dakota State won 26-7, and then we had Jacksonville State over Samford 55-14 on the bottom side of the brackets. We had Fordham beat Sacred Heart 37-27. Tennessee State over Butler 31-0. Sam Houston State over Southern Utah 51-20, and New Hampshire over Lafayette 45-7. Excuse me. So round 2 will be commencing this week. The games happen on December 7th, which is in 2 days.
Tomorrow.
2 days, the 7th.
Yeah, true.
So Saturday.
Yeah.
And those games include the teams that got byes, obviously, because the first round is basically just bunny bracket games. They go into play the top seeded teams. So, starting at the bottom, because we'll end with the number 1 seed, starting at the bottom, for the 7 seed Towson, they will play Fordham. Who do you think's going to win that? Fordham again, 37-27 over Sacred Heart. Bottom side of the bracket.
Bottoms.
Got this.
Bottom right.
Got this.
Okay.
Towson.
Towson.
Wait, I
Against
must
Fordham.
be in. Oh, there we go. I was like, I didn't have it first.
Sure.
Okay.
Who you guys calling? Towson
There it
or
is.
Fordham?
Towson.
Towson?
Mm-hmm.
Take it away.
Josh?
Oh, no. There's an away.
Towson or Fordham?
I said Towson.
Towson. Alright, so on the other side of that, we have the 5th ranked Maine against New Hampshire. And New Hampshire once again beat Lafayette 45-7.
Maine.
Yeah, I like upsets. Let's go New Hampshire.
Alright, that's
Just
exciting.
because.
The 4th ranked Southeastern Louisiana will play Sam Houston State. And Sam Houston beat Southern Utah 51-20.
I'm going to say an upset here. Sam Houston State.
Alright.
The Southeastern.
Pardon?
Southeastern.
Don't know who
Southeastern.
Don't know.
People on the radio have to hear you.
Nerve.
And then to round out that side of the bracket, we have Eastern Illinois, who's ranked number 2 on the opposite side of the number 1 ranked. Obviously, they will play Tennessee State. Tennessee State won against Butler 31-0.
You know, let's go for broke because obviously I don't know much about this. Eastern Illinois dominating.
Yeah, Eastern
So
Illinois.
why not?
I was going to say
Down.
Eastern Illinois. And then moving to the top side of the bracket, looking at the lowest ranked, we have Montana, ranked number 8. They play Coastal Carolina, who defeated Bethune-Cookman, again, out of the MEAC Power Conference, 48-24.
Let's end that run of MEAC. We're going Montana.
Well, Bethune-Cookman already lost. Coastal Carolina won.
Regardless, the team that beat them.
Regardless.
we're
The
gonna
team that beat them.
Yes.
Any team that had contact with the MEAC.
Yes, any team that contacted MEAC.
So Josh takes Montana,
has to-
Dates.
has to get out.
I'm going to say. Wait, is this for the bottom one?
Let's talk.
Montana
Okay.
and Coastal Carolina.
Montana.
Yeah, there we go. So looking at the other side, we have 6th ranked McNeese State taking on Jacksonville State, who defeated Samford 55-14.
I'll go Jacksonville.
Gotta go McNeese State.
McNeese. All right. South Dakota State won their bunny bracket game, 26-7, and they take on number 3 Eastern Washington.
It's going to be a good game, but I don't think South Dakota State has enough. Eastern Washington.
Go Washington, just because I want them to lose.
And ending off
Yeah,
with the
logic.
number 1 ranked team in the FCS playoffs and in the FCS, I think, as a whole, North Dakota State is taking on Furman. And Furman just beat South Carolina State 30-20.
NDSU in a domination.
I could see this game. They could throttle them, and Furman could not have any points.
And of these 16 remaining teams, who do you see winning?
NDSU.
I hate to say it, but NDSU.
I think it's pretty standard.
It's gonna. I think out of all these teams, it'll be NDSU or Eastern Washington.
We'll be keeping our eyes on that as well because the FCS does affect us being an FCS school. And
Except we didn't make the tournament.
except we have to make a tournament. So we're going to take a quick 1-minute break, come back with our favorite part of the show, Savannah State Corner and USD Corner. So keep listening. We're almost done, guys. Thanks for keeping it here for Make Your Point. Alright, so we have one more. And we're just talking basketball.
Just basketball for both Savannah and.
Oh, I forgot college basketball. Haha.
It's okay.
We're just
Whoops.
going to skip that.
Okay.
Wait, what? Savannah State football
There is no more
ended
Spanish
the
State football.
16th. That was how it was done a while ago.
Just go to Google and type in Savannah State Athletics.
It's SSU.
If you type in
Athletics.
Savannah State Athletic, it'll pop up.
I think we might talk about the Big Ten ACC Challenge quick too.
And we're
So we
good.
have a little bit of time. We have 15 minutes.
General admission
15
only
seconds,
$5.
No, 15 minutes like of time left.
Oh.
It's 6:30.
So we'll continue to.
So yeah, we'll talk about Big Ten ACC Challenge.
I'm good.
Did anybody watch basketball over the break?
What do you, college basketball?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Okay, you can talk about it.
Oh, come on.
Welcome back here to Make Your Point. I'm Victoria Harmony. With me, Josh Earl and Nathan Poole, as I may or may not have forgotten about college basketball, because that happens. So, holiday tournaments did happen again this early on in the season. It's so wide and spread out, there's not a ton happening, but I thought we could bring up the Big Ten ACC Challenge because that's kind of a big thing now, I
Mhm.
guess. It's been going on for a while.
They think, according to a friend of mine, they said that the Big Ten has won it 2 years in a row.
Yes, and they are tied 6-6 today, so
If that's all the teams, though, then nobody
it
wins.
ends in a tie.
It ends at the
It
top.
ends in a tie. That's the article I saw.
I'm wondering if that's actually true or
It's on
not.
ESPN, it's on a blog.
Okay.
Deadlocked once again.
Oh, okay.
Ended with no resolution to conference supremacy for the second straight season. The Flash ended in a 6-6
Oh, for the second
tie.
straight season? Well, then
Dun,
my
dun,
source was
dun.
wrong.
College basketball.
My source was wrong.
Your source lies to you.
Yep.
So, according to the Big Ten ACC Championship, neither of them are better than the other. How did you feel about some of the upsets that happened during this?
Oh,
Because
gosh.
one happened just last night. Let's talk about that one.
UNC throttled Michigan State
And they did throw
by
it. I was
14.
surprised.
They kind of recapped the last couple of meetings they had, and UNC has won in double digits. It seems like every single time, like 14 or more points, and it was just insane. Last night, Michigan State actually had a good run to end the first half, but then afterwards they just couldn't find anything else. So
Technically, it was tied at halftime.
yeah, that's what I said.
So yeah, that makes UNC, I think, the first team since 2010 or whatever to
I'm
beat.
surprised they're not ranked. They might.
They
be.
will be now.
They might be.
They will be now. They weren't ranked when they played Michigan State, but this is the first time I think since 2010 a team has beat the reigning champion because they beat Louisville early in the season, and then they beat the number 1 ranked team in Michigan State last night. So obviously they have promise. As much as it kills me to say that, Duke hasn't been doing too hot either. But it happens. They lost to Arizona in their holiday tournament, but Arizona's ranked 2 now. So I was just like, oh yeah, I guess Arizona's good.
Yeah, at least Nebraska won yesterday.
I know, it's so exciting. Nebraska
They're
can
5-0
win
at
at
home.
things. There was an interesting article I didn't have a lot for college basketball, I just kind of wanted to bring it up. If you guys wanted to talk about it, if I wanted to talk about it. But I did see an article for George Mason. Have you guys heard about this George Mason person?
No, I don't think so.
Anali Okoloji, pardon me if I mispronounced that, is suspended indefinitely after he stepped on an opposing player during their loss this past weekend to South Florida.
Sounds classy.
So
Well,
he just
bit
stepped on
severe.
him. The coach, Paul Hewitt, said that Okoloji's actions were inexcusable and not what we expect from a George Mason student athlete. Hewitt did not specify the length of the suspension, but says it will include Sunday's game against Oklahoma in the BB&T Classic.
Game 20.
Okoloji was involved in the momentum-shifting sequence in the second half of Wednesday night's 68-66 loss. South Florida's Anthony Collins was stripped from behind by Okoloji near the foul line, then was stepped on by Okoloji as his momentum took him down the court. Okoloji was whistled for both a personal and a technical foul. He's appeared in 8 games this season, averaging just under 2.5 points. Courtesy of ESPN. So you think he should be allowed to play again? Yes, no, maybe.
Maybe.
If he's really, really sorry.
Anyway,
No, there has to be some kind of punishment for it.
well, obviously. So let's get to our favorite parts, since I promised you guys that. And we have
Alright.
about
I'm like
10 minutes-ish.
semi-prepared.
Oh my goodness, don't they have the most awesome site?
Yeah,
It's
they're
better
kind of
than
do.
ours, man.
I
It's easier to
know.
maneuver theirs than ours.
If you go, this is off topic for people listening, but if you want to visit Spanish State's website, and you go and look at the box scores, they have timed out very nice. If you go to a football box score, you should check it out.
Yeah.
It's very, very nice.
I like how
Play.
if you go down, you can actually click on their opponent's name
Mhm.
as opposed to the USD site where it's just horrible
Yes.
maneuvering.
So we're going to talk men's basketball
All right.
or Savannah State.
You know, they were doing decent. There was a point where they were 2-2, and they won. They
when's
won
the last
first two
time
home
we
games.
talked? We talked when
About these guys
on November
2 weeks
18th.
ago.
November 18th, right? Because they were going to play University of Florida.
Yes.
That was what we were gonna talk
They
about.
barely lost.
So, let me recap for the fans. They went to play at the University of North Florida in Jacksonville. They lost 66-63. Then they went to the Global Sports Hoops Showcase in Salt Lake City, Utah, where they played Lamar University, Grand Canyon University, and the University of Utah. They lost all three of those 75-66, 72-71, 71-57, respectively. Then they played the University of North Florida again in Savannah, and they lost by 4, 65-61.
So both of those matchups were quite close.
Yeah, we're very
So
close.
effectively, after a 2-game winning streak, they went on a 5-game losing streak.
Their next game isn't scheduled until this upcoming Tuesday, so they have quite a bit of a
Against
break.
you and I.
Yes,
At
indeed,
UNI.
at Cedar Falls.
And then they faced 4 FBS teams.
Well, there's not really FBS in basketball, but yeah.
Well, they are FBS.
Well, but there's no differentiation.
Okay, whatever.
Whatever.
They're NCAA schools.
So, they've been having a bit of trouble, but do you see them turning it around?
No. Maybe not until January 6th.
You know what? Am I the one who has to have the confidence at Savannah State like I used to? When two teams step on that court, both have an opportunity to win that ball game.
Does that include the volleyball team?
No.
No.
They're excluded.
They don't count.
They're just excluded.
They
Alright,
don't
let's talk about
count.
the women's SSU athletics.
Yay,
The
women's are
Tigers.
better.
Alright, so again, we talked about them. Did we talk about? Yeah, we talked about Charleston Southern. So, when last we met, they weren't going to the Athletics in Action Classic,
Oh,
which is
that's
hosted by Baylor University. And they went 1-2 in that classic. They lost to Baylor 99-31. Then they played the University of Texas San Antonio and won 51-50. And then they played Northwestern State University and lost 77-56. They then went on to play Mississippi State University in Starkville, Mississippi, losing that 81-63. Going on to play in Seton Hall's University Tournament, losing both of those to Seton Hall University 51-42 and Liberty University 89-79. Their next game will be the 15th, which is quite a while from now.
About a week
That'll be a
away.
Sunday.
That'd be
Yeah.
a week away.
It's like 2 weeks-ish.
Week
it's,
away.
It's not this coming Sunday, but the Sunday after that.
Yes, so it's like 2 weeks-ish. They
Uh,
play Longwood University.
And it's a rough stretch for them. They play 4 straight games away. Fun fact, they actually haven't lost at home yet. They're 2-0 at home. And they have 1 win on a neutral court, but they also have 5 losses when they're not playing at home. So they have 4 straight away games with their own 4.
You could possibly, after this 4-game road streak, you could see them entering after this one 6-6.
Longwood University is 3-3.
I could
To
see.
be completely fair, too, though, Charleston Southern University, the second team they played in this 4-game road trip, is the second team they played at home that they throttled 75-47.
And I also think that these next 3 games, they could win all 3 of them, and then I think they'll lose to South Carolina.
Yeah.
But they could enter after that road streak 6-6. That's a good start. In the
So-
first 12 games.
We'll be keeping
Maybe
up with
that's up
our
to me
Savannah
on the
State
way
Tigers
games.
as we move on to USC, the men's basketball.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about volleyball.
No, we said no.
They're all done with volleyball.
What?
There is no more volleyball.
Seriously?
They didn't make
That was
their
really
playoffs.
fast.
They didn't make their
We
playoffs.
gotta
We already
go
talked about our
fast.
playoffs because we lost, right?
Did they won one set?
They won 1 game.
We
That's
lost.
it.
1 game.
We
Oh,
already
they
talked
won.
about this.
They won one.
Yeah, they won their last
Yeah, their
game,
last
but they
game.
didn't go to playoffs or anything.
Hey, you know what? Bright spot. They
We
won their
talked
last
about
match.
it last week. You
Did
weren't
we?
here, or not
Yeah.
last week, 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
You weren't here.
Oh, I
That's
was
not our
like,
fault.
here.
It's not our fault. We already talked about it.
Fine.
So the men's basketball team, when last we spoke, they probably played what? They were going to play Wyoming, and they lost to Wyoming 70-53. After that, they went on to play Texas State, and they beat them 57-56. Graceland, they beat 112-85. And just recently, they played Utah Valley 71-67 as they win. So USD's 3-3 now.
No, 3-5.
3-5.
Come on, get it right.
Wait, are you taking men's?
Yeah.
Oh no, they're 3-3.
I was going to
3-3.
say, it says 3-3.
Women's are 3-5.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
We
correcting
have
me in the one
not.
correct.
We have not lost at home.
Nope. We're doing good.
But now we play 3 straight. Oh well, technically speaking, we play an away, and then we technically play a neutral-ish.
But it's going to be a home game.
It's a home game, but in Rapid.
Yep.
And then we play at Kansas. Because it makes so much sense to play home games.
In Rapid, yeah.
No, okay, I can get behind
So
playing a home
how
game
do
at
you-
Sioux Falls, but in Rapid,
How do you feel about our men's basketball team so far this year?
it's doing decent.
It's doing
We
decent.
lost several pieces. Unless you know. A couple
Uh,
pieces.
one, and that was Jabal Miles. But really, other than that, we really haven't lost anything. But I think just with a new head coach, trying to incorporate his system in, and I am not surprised that they're 3-3 right now. But we could see them improving that record. This 3-game road skid though. Road stand. I don't see them
Air
winning.
Force, Wyoming, and Kansas.
I don't see them winning any of those games. I just think all three of those teams are too tough to beat. So they'll come back home 3-6.
Here's the thing, like all of our losses, we're getting kind of throttled in our losses.
Except the one against Canisius. Second game.
Oh yeah, by 5. The other two are just really rough. So I mean, we're looking okay. It's just trying to stay competitive in all the games effectively. And I mean, some of our wins have been definitely impressive. The win against Graceland,
Mm-hmm.
very impressive. That's
Except Grayson's
20. That's still a 27-point win. And it's just 2 halves in college basketball, right?
Yes.
How long are the halves?
20 minutes.
Okay, so it's only 8 minutes shorter than the NBA game. Take this weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, so but 112 points is still, you don't see that much.
But that
No, I
means
wasn't
that
actually
that means
expecting.
you're just hitting everything though.
And
And they did shoot.
And there's no. It looks like there's no defense period because they only
No,
scored 85.
Graceland doesn't have any height. That's why we scored 112 on them. They have no height.
Yeah.
I think their tallest guy was 6'7".
Yeah.
Maybe not even that.
6-7 would be our power.
And we just shot very well that night. Everything was going in for us. We shot over 56%.
I'm still continually upset with our
As
senior
you stated
players.
in that game.
As I've said multiple times, our senior players need to grow up. Anyways, we don't have much time, so let's talk women's.
All right.
And I will not get on the rants.
Okay.
I feel this will save things, especially
Yeah.
sounding like I do. I imagine a rant in this voice would be amazingly entertaining.
I'm
So
also at game tonight.
the men's, well, yeah, I was going to say the men's. Yeah, we said the men's next game was against Air Force on
The road.
So, yeah, it's on
seventh.
the road. So,
It's on the 5th. That's
Oh,
today.
that's today.
So they have their next game today. Go team. Sorry we were behind on that. And then they play Wyoming on the 7th, which is Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Women's. When we last came together, I'm guessing was
North
the
Dakota.
17th.
Thank.
So they lost to North Dakota, 65-61. Oh no, it was Drake because we
talked about
game.
the Drake,
That's
yep.
right. They lost that in overtime. So Boise State was the first home game for them. They won that one 74-61. Then they went to play Creighton, lost that 48-63. That would be close. Wyoming, they played them 82-78.
Handing
was the
Wyoming their first
win.
loss.
Yes. And then Utah State is tonight at 7 p.m. You'll be going to that.
So very soon.
Relatively momentarily.
Yes, we'll be going to that as soon as this show is over, so be sure to keep it tuned in for the cover by Joe English.
Yes.
Women's volleyball, how do you feel about the women's team this year so far? They are 3-5, as Nate already said.
You know, looking at the record, it may be like, wow, we're kind of slumping this year. But the 5 losses have been against very good teams. It's not like we're losing against these no-name teams. Maybe 2 of those losses we could have won. UC Irvine and North Dakota, I think we could have pulled out the victory. But the other losses, I really didn't expect us to win, especially against Iowa State, Drake, or Creighton, even though we had a shot against Drake. But Drake and Creighton, Iowa State and Creighton were the ones that I think we were going to lose. But I'm liking the way this team's headed right now. They got an easy matchup, I think, in Utah State. Even though Utah State comes in 5-1, I think they are beatable. And I think girls get a win tonight.
I just figure things are looking up for our team, basically. Even in our losses, we're still. Here's the thing: if you're going to lose games, like you can get behind losses early in the season if you're losing close. If you're losing close, you're at least keeping it tight. Lost by 4. Well, okay, that one's not so tight. Lost by 16. But lost by 4, 16, 4, and 8 in overtime, and then we got kind of smoked by Creighton. But
Kind of.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
3 out of those 5 losses, though, and even including the overtime one, were by less than 10 points. So we're at least keeping it close, and our wins are decisive so far. The Wyoming was tight. Aside from that, still pretty decisive wins. So it's looking pretty good for our team, especially if we're playing at home. It seems like our home court advantage is really good in the women's and men's basketball so far this season.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, and on that, I think since it's the week after Thanksgiving and I'm in the giving mood, you both get a final
When
vote.
does this happen?
Yeah, I know, right?
Go ahead, man.
Do you have something to talk about? 'Cause I actually
You
don't.
each get 1 minute apiece. You have to go.
Okay. Well, I will bring up I'll bring this up. The Packers need to win out in order to make the playoffs. They lose one more game. Their playoff hopes, I think, are very, very slim. Aaron Rodgers would be a big factor in this. If he can come back this weekend, kudos. But if he cannot, they need to win this game. Hopefully have Rodgers in the next 3 games. And hopefully they win out.
I remember growing up when they basically told you while you were trying to play like Little League sports and that kind of stuff that cheating doesn't pay out or cheating doesn't win. Apparently, with MLB, that's not really the case. So you got guys like Royd, Melky Cabrera, now Johnny Peralta getting this huge 4-year, $52 million deal. And I get the Cardinals saying they're not supposed to be the moral police, but effectively what MLB is saying is that you get caught and you get this little suspension and then you go out and get a payday. So effectively, while saying that they're against steroids in baseball, MLB subconsciously and on the owner's perspective is reinforcing cheating.
Alright, and on that has been this week's Make Your Point. We're at week
That's so cheerful.
45, I think.
You've been counting.
I started counting, but I
Ish.
forgot what it was
Remember.
this week. So we're at
I thought it was
We're
week
close to
40,
50.
44 or
Close to
45. We're getting pretty close to 50, so we're getting an old show.
We're
But
old.
thank you so much for the fans that have been listening. Like our page on Facebook. It's Make Your Point. You can find us after the Final Howl. We have a Twitter account. We have a YouTube page. And a Ustream as well. I didn't even check if anyone was watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it if you were. If not, well, then that happens as well. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Make Your Point here on 91.1 Cat Radio. Stay tuned for live coverage of women's basketball.
If you don't like it, well, too bad, because you can't fix it now.
Wait, I don't know.
I really was out of the screen, wasn't I?
I know, that's why it's so
You guys actually going to the game?
No, I'm too sick.
Because
Like,
when you were
no.
saying we're going right afterwards, I was like, you guys are going.
I have a conference at 9, so
I should probably eat. But
Yeah, come get food.
make you little guys. Dying is bad.
Scully, do you have a recording set up?
Not yet. I usually do that when I get here. And then what
Did
is
you have to stop recording and go home?
Hey, cool.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There you go. And then I left my silence file up.
Thank you.
Just make sure it doesn't automatically go through until stop playing it.
Yep, will do.
And there you go.
Okie doke.
Very well. You're welcome. You know what would be a good thing?
Yes,
Is if I grab my computer.
that
That
would
would
be
be
a very
a really
good
good
thing.
thing. I feel.